friends. Hello, everybody. Hello. Let me get the things set up. There we go. How's it going, everybody? Welcome on in. If you're new to the channel, my name is Triune, or Tri for short. Preferred pronouns, they, them, but any and all are acceptable. Hey, we're back at it again for Such a Brew About Nothing, our Magic the Gathering podcast show, where basically I like to talk about commander decks that I've built. I tend to build flavor forward and usually, just dumb, fun things that I come across in Magic and throw them into decks. So, let's jump into that, shall we? Let's see here. Make sure I'm pretty sure we're live. Looks like we're live. Everything looks good. By the way, shout out again to Happy Boy Games here on Twitch and over on YouTube. It's happy_boy_games for creating the music that you're hearing today. We're going to be hearing every different iteration of the theme that he made. So, of course, we will be doing a poll on Tuesday, rounding out the last of the polls for the fan selected. That's right. Comfy Crew, you get to pick what you want as the channel's theme. So, there we go. So, we do have ads incoming here on Twitch in like 4 minutes. You know how to not watch ads by now, hopefully. Subscribing or Twitch Turbo or with Twitch Prime, any of those things. Always appreciated, never required. Just the fact that you're here is what's important. That said, as you'll see in chat, we do have the deck lists posted for our Archidect deck list links. So if you want to see all of the cards, you can check them out there. Of course, if you miss any part of tonight's stream, you can also watch the VOD here on Twitch or over on our YouTube channel at youtube.com/@TriuneSystem. Everybody clear? Everybody cool? All right, awesome. So without further ado, let's flip the camera around here and have a look at our first deck. So, as it says in the stream title there, I've jokingly called the decks the Wandering Fantasy and All the Doctors. So, we have, sorry, I'm getting everything adjusted here. There we go. So, up first we have the commander of the deck, the Wandering Minstrel. Costs a green and a blue for a 1/3 legendary human bard. Says, lands you control enter untapped. This is a 5-color deck. So, the fact that we have a Amulet of Vigor effect on a stick is great. Also has the Minstrel's Ballad, which is at the beginning of combat on your turn. If you control 5 or more towns, create a 2/2 elemental creature token that's all colors. So, can make you bodies just for having enough towns. And then has an activated ability, 3 white, blue, black, red, green, or Wooburg. Other creatures you control get +X/+X until end of turn, where X is the number of towns you control. So, for 8 mana, if you have 8 towns, you can tap them, and then all of your creatures get +8/+8, which is pretty good, right? Gets any of your smaller threats to be large threats. All those elementals become 10/10s that he makes. Pretty good ability. So this, of course, is from... Now, we're doing this deck list slightly different, and the next deck we'll be talking about slightly different than normal. Normally, I put all of the creatures up front, and we talk about all of them. In this list, I'm going to talk about them by the game, and we're going to go numerically in order. So, Wandering Minstrel here. If you didn't know, this is Yoshi P, the head of design for Final Fantasy XIV, the MMO. This is his character. So this is a card from Final Fantasy XIV. You can see down in the corner there. So we are going to go in order from the games, starting numerically, but we got to talk about the commander first, and then we can get into the rest of the deck. Everybody tracking? Good. So here's the elemental tokens that you make with Wandering Minstrel. You can see their token creature elemental. This token is all colors, 2/2, and also from Final Fantasy XIV. So, jumping back, going in the way back machine, we are looking at Final Fantasy I cards. So, up first, we have Garland, Royal Kidnapper, 2 blue-black, for a legendary human knight, 3/4. It says, when Garland enters, target opponent becomes the monarch. Whenever an opponent becomes the monarch, gain control of target creature that player controls for as long as they are the monarch. Creatures you control but don't own get +2/+2 and can't be sacrificed. So this is a great way to, what's the word I'm looking for? Incentivize your opponents to want to attack, right? Because the monarchy is at the end of your turn, you get to draw an extra card, right? So you draw at end of turn. So, anytime one of your opponents becomes the monarch, you get one of their things, which is pretty great, right? So I take one of their creatures for as long as they're the monarch. So you start taking other people's stuff, and then you're giving it back when they lose the monarchy. So it kind of, as long as you're not the monarch, I mean, you could also take the monarchy and just not have their stuff and get extra cards. But monarchy is a great way to add an accelerant to commander games. And the art we have here, this of course is one of the mechanically unique cards from the scene boxes. Oh, hey, thank you for that follow, Strawberry System. I appreciate you. Shout out to Strawberry System 22. Thank you so much. I appreciate that follow. Next up in the list, yes, you are plural, though not DID. Hell yeah. Hey, plural pride. Love that. Welcome on in, friend. Welcome, welcome. Well, I am a DID system myself. Everybody is welcome here. So, next up in the list, we have Chaos Shrine's Black Crystal. This is 3 and a black for a legendary artifact. Says, whenever a non-token creature you control dies, exile it. Then at the beginning of your upkeep, you may put a creature card exiled with Chaos Shrine's Black Crystal onto the battlefield under your control with a finality counter on it. Finality counters are a somewhat newer thing they started doing, where basically if the thing should die, you exile it, right? So this is giving us extra recursion on our creatures. If any of them die, they exile, then start of our turn, we just get them back for free. Great reuse there. Now, of course, this can be abused if we have like any kind of blink effects in our deck. If we were able to blink that creature, then we get to remove that finality counter, or if you can bounce them back to hand. I've been hard at work at something cool in Magic the Gathering, Strawberry said. That's sick. Awesome. Well, I look forward to hearing more about it. Next up in our list, we have, you'll notice, by the way, this was also one of the scene cards. You're going to see all 4 of the Final Fantasy scenes in this deck because it's 5 color. And I figured, you know what, this deck doesn't really have much of a point other than doing a bunch of Final Fantasy stuff. So that's really the theme here. Strawberry said, designing a custom commander deck for each Smash Brothers character, then building them all on Architect, then pulling a gauntlet tournament on Cockatrice for 4 players, where the players in the pod with the most wins gets a Foundations booster box? That's super sick. Heck yeah. That's awesome. Love to hear that. And I love that you're a fellow Architect user. Ah, yes, a Magic player of class has joined the chat. I love using Architect. I know a lot of people use different services, Moxfield and things, but I'm very much I'm an Architect person. I've always used Architect. Used Moxfield and Architect equally. Hell yeah. Hey, you know, I started using Architect just because it's really hard to keep track of all of the cards that you own and what's in what deck and stuff. If you need to make swaps or, you know, start building a new deck and it's like, oh, hey, I know I have this card. Where is it? So I really like Architect. It's mainly I have nothing against Moxfield. I just have never used it. Architect, I found out through EDH Recast, and I started using that ever since. But our next card in our deck, we have the Destined Thief. This is 2 and a blue. Legendary Human Rogue, 2/2. Destined Thief can't be blocked. You can pay a blue, tap, another target creature you control, can't be blocked this turn. And whenever 1 or more creatures you control deal combat damage to 1 or more players, draw a card. Then discard a card. If you have a full party, instead draw 3 cards. So party is a mechanic that we saw last in, I believe it was Adventures in the Forgotten Realms, the AFR, the D&D set, where you need to have a warrior, a wizard, a cleric, and a rogue. So as you're going to see here shortly, all of the original heroes of Final Fantasy I are each of those 4 classes, right? So if you assemble the party of 4, then you have a full party. Let's see. Strawberry said, each commander has a mechanic called Final Smash. Tap all untapped lands you control and lose all unspent mana. Do something massive. Activate this ability only while you have 5 or less life and only on your pre-combat main phase before casting any spells. When you activate this ability, you can't use Final Smashes for the rest of the game. Okay, so it's like an exhaust ability. That's neat. Very cool. Did I skip a card somewhere? I think I got these out of order. Okay, we're going to look at him last. I thought I had them in the order that they go in the picture, but it's fine. So next up we have the Destined Black Mage, 2 and a black for a legendary human wizard, 3/2 with Death Touch. You can pay a black and tap, another target creature you control gains Death Touch until end of turn. So similar to the Destined Rogue with the unblockable thing. But now it's for Death Touch. And whenever you cast a non-creature spell, Destined Black Mage deals 1 damage to each opponent, which is the wizard token mechanic from Final Fantasy. But if you have a full party, it deals 3 damage to each opponent instead. So you're getting a full lightning bolt to your opponents, which is pretty great. And you have a Death Touch blocker with Death Touch on a stick. Next up, we have the Destined White Mage, 2 and a white for a legendary human cleric, 2/3 with lifelink. You pay a white, tap another creature you control, gains lifelink until end of turn. And whenever you gain life, you put a 1/1 counter on target creature you control. If you have a full party, you get 3 1/1 counters on that creature instead. So now you got Lifelink on a stick, we had Death Touch on a stick, we have Unblockable on a stick, we're putting counters, we're getting damage, we're drawing cards. Well, we need to have a good payoff to put all those things on, right? And here we have, honestly, in my opinion, this is like the secret sub-commander of this deck. Because the Destined Warrior costs 1 white, blue, black, so 1 an Esper, for a legendary human warrior, 3/3, with first strike, vigilance, menace, and reduces the cost of all of your clerics, rogues, warriors, and wizards by 1. So it's going to make all of them cheaper to cast, and at the beginning of combat on your turn, all of your creatures get +1/+0 until end of turn, and if you have a full party, they get +3/0 until end of turn instead. So, kind of great there that with the warrior out, you're buffing your whole party, you're getting bonuses, you can add Death Touch and Lifelink and things to the Destined Warrior, and just make a real problem for your opponents with this. Oh, I don't think your link posted, Strawberry, because we don't have links on in the chat. But I'll check it out once we're off stream. So this podcast is more to talk about the Magic decks and for people to like talk about cards and stuff that they want to suggest. But yeah, you can always send me the link in Whisper, and I'll give it a look after we're done with the stream. Yo, what's up, guy? Welcome on in. Welcome. Yes, more Magic. So, again, we're doing this weird because we're going by the game. So, which, by the way, chat, you all just lost the game. So we're going through all the Final Fantasy 1 stuff. So here we have starting town. It's a land town. This land enters tapped unless it's your first, second, or third turn of the game. You can tap it for a colorless, or you can tap it, pay a life, add a mana of any color. So it's got that, this will fix your mana, whatever you need. And if it's early in the game, it's coming in untapped, which is just great. Unless our commander is in play, who makes all of our lands enter untapped. So this is just like a second command tower, basically. Well, I guess first command tower, because this deck is only Final Fantasy cards. So we don't even have a command tower in this deck. And then we have Basic Mountain. You can see this is some artwork. You got the 4 heroes from Final Fantasy 1 in one of the caverns there. Next up, we get into Final Fantasy 2. We have Firion Wild Rose Warrior, 2 and a red for a legendary human rebel warrior, 3/3. With equipped creatures you control have haste, and whenever a non-token equipment you control enters, create a token that's a copy of it, except it has this equipment's equip abilities, cost 2 less to activate, and you sacrifice that token at the beginning of the next upkeep. So you get a copy of your equipment for the entire rest of your turn that you get to equip for cheaper, that then gives the equipped creature haste. This guy, with the few equipments we have in this deck, is wild. And you'll see what equipments I'm talking about as we continue to go through. Next up, we have a Basic Swamp from Final Fantasy 2. And yes, all of the lands, all the basic lands are foil. Why? Because foil lands make foil mana. And it doesn't make any mechanical difference, but it's cool, and I like it. And that's the only reason. Next, we have Crystal of Altar Cave, which is Chromatic Lantern. 3 mana for any 3 for an artifact. Says lands you control have tap, add 1 mana of any color, and this artifact itself taps for 1 mana of any color. So now all of our lands become command towers effectively, and we're getting a 3 mana mana rug. So it's good fixing. If you're in a 5 color deck, you definitely want Chromatic Lantern. Next up, we have the Hero of Light, which was Adeline Resplendent Cathar. 1 white for a legendary human knight star 4 with vigilance, and Hero of Light's power is equal to the number of creatures you control. Whenever you attack for each opponent, create a 1/1 white human creature token that's tapped in attacking that player or a planeswalker they control. So, Hero of Light here, we move to combat, we swing out with Hero of Light. It starts as a 1/4, even with no other creatures. We go to combat, we attack, we make 3 1/1s, so now this is attacking as a 4/4 with vigilance. And we're making a 1/1 attacking each of our opponents. This has the ability to fill up boards real quick, especially if you're sending other problems at your opponents. They're less likely to block those human tokens, and you just keep filling your board up. And here we have the token. It's a 1/1 fairy with flying, but I just really like this art, so this is the one that I got from Card Kingdom with a card order. Which, by the way, if you do buy singles, I highly recommend Card Kingdom. I use them to buy all my singles. They're not a sponsor, unless they'd like to sponsor. That'd be cool. But that's the one I use because TCG Player got bought by eBay, and eBay are a bunch of union busters. So I don't support TCG Player anymore. So this is my stand-in for the human token. Next up, we have a basic forest. This is the one from Final Fantasy III. It is a shout out to the Chocobo forest you'll find in Final Fantasy III. Next, we have Golbez, Crystal Collector. Blue and a black for a legendary human wizard. 1/4 with whenever an artifact you control enters, surveil 1. At the beginning of your end step, if you control 4 or more artifacts, return target creature card from your graveyard to your hand. Then, if you control 8 or more artifacts, each opponent loses life equal to that card's power. So, beginning of end step, we have 4 or more artifacts. We get to return creatures. And if we have 8 artifacts, they're losing life equal to the power of that thing. Now, we don't have a lot of high power creatures in this deck, but we do have a decent number of artifacts between mana rocks and equipments and things. Is this always going to proc? No. But 2 mana 1/4? That's pretty good. That's a pretty good blocker. That also is helping us, chew through our deck with Surveil. I think this Golbez card is pretty sweet. You can see we have moved into Final Fantasy IV, by the way. Golbez is the final boss from Final Fantasy IV. We then move into the hero of Final Fantasy IV, which is Cecil Harvey, also known as Timna the Weaver. 1 white black for a legendary human cleric, 2/2 with lifelink, and at the beginning of each of your post-combat main phases, you may pay X life, where X is the number of opponents who were dealt combat damage this turn. If you do, draw X cards, and has partner, which isn't really relevant for this deck, but partner, again, is the keyword, where if you have 2 commanders that have partner, they can both be your commander. So, we go to combat, we attack each of our opponents, we move through combat, second main phase, we pay 3 life, because 3 opponents lost life, presumably, and we draw 3 cards. Great way to keep your hand full. But then again, if you need me to tell you that Timna the Weaver is good, then what are we doing? So, Cecil, by the way, is the hero of Final Fantasy IV. We move into the love interest from Final Fantasy IV, and also one of my favorite characters. We have Rosa, Resolute White Mage, 3 and a white for a legendary human noble cleric, 2/3 with reach, and at the beginning of combat on your turn, put a 1/1 counter on target creature you control, and it gains lifelink until end of turn. I had this out with the Destined Warrior the other night, and just making Warrior bigger and automatically giving him lifelink when he already has First Strike and Menace and, was it Trample? Vigilance. First Strike, Vigilance, Menace, lifelink, and getting 1/1 counters. It's a great little combo. Or synergy, I guess. It's not really a combo, it's a synergy. Then we move into one of our first dual color towns. We have Barren Airship Kingdom. It's a land town. This land enters tapped, unless we have our commander out. Taps for a blue or a red. Then we have a basic mountain. This is the mountain from Final Fantasy IV. This is, oh man, it's been a minute since I've played Final Fantasy IV. Which, if you didn't know, by the way, Final Fantasy IV was originally released as Final Fantasy II back in the 90s on Super Nintendo. But this is, I think this is where you take the trial to switch from being a Dark Knight to a Paladin with Cecil, if I remember correctly. Next, we move into Final Fantasy V. So here is one of our other equipments we have in the deck. We have the Genji Glove. 5 mana artifact equipment. Equipped creature has double strike, and whenever equipped creature attacks, if it's the first combat phase of the turn, untap it. After this phase, there is an additional combat phase, and equips for 3. So, if we have Fury now, we pay 5, this comes in, we make a copy of the Genji Glove that will equip for only 1. It would give the equipped creature haste because of Furion, and double strike, and a second combat. That's why Furion is in this deck. Furion is in there because we have a couple of great equipments like this that are real nice if you can cheat the equip costs. Next up we have Galoof's Final Act. 1 and a green for an instant until end of turn. Target creature gets +1/+0 and gains when this creature dies. Put a number of 1/1 counters equal to its power on up to 1 target creature. So it's kind of a nice alternative to what am I thinking of? Heroic Intervention, right? A lot of people run cards like Heroic Intervention because it'll, give your stuff hexproof and indestructible. Well, if we have a big power thing that's attacking and our opponent's about to waste a kill spell, this is a great way to just dump all of that power of our creature on something else and continue to be a problem. So you can see here, this is when the character Galoof from Final Fantasy V sacrifices himself to the main villain X-Death. Which, by the way, one of these days, spoiler alert, chat, here, this is why you got to tune into Such a Brew About Nothing. Chat, I'm going to give you a glimpse into the future. Starting in April, we're going to have a brand new series on the channel. And we're actually going to go back to a slightly older streaming method, where I'm just going to stream single games. Because, and this is exciting, this is world premiere. World premiere. You know what? I'm going to flip the camera around just for a second here. So, world premiere news, chat, just for you. Starting in April, we have a new series called Our PG. O-U-R-P-G. Our PG. RPG. And on it, we are going to play through a bunch of RPG games. Specifically, I set a challenge for myself last year that I wanted to beat all of the Final Fantasy games. All of the non-MMO ones. I didn't. I got halfway through 8, got busy, life happened, and I stopped. But, yo, what's up, Happy? How's it going? Let me get you, I'll get you a shout out here. Hey, you just heard the premiere announcement. We're going to have a new series starting in the month of April. RPG. Our PG. Where, here, effectively why it's called that, I'm going to be playing through all of the mainline numbered Final Fantasy games. All the single player ones, not the MMOs. Yes, Our PG, exactly. I'm going to be playing through all of them, and in order, starting with Final Fantasy 1. I picked them all up on PlayStation 5. All the pixel remasters for the older ones. We're going to start playing through all of them. And the reason why, one of the greatest undertakings, well, it was a challenge I set for myself last year that I never completed. And thank you. Yeah, a dope brother and mod made all of the music we're listening to. So, yes, starting with Final Fantasy 1 and moving through this series, we are going to be playing all of the mainline Final Fantasy games. And it's called Our PG because any of the games where there are options for character name or character class, you, the viewers, get to decide those. Just like we're doing with the theme, right? The Get Comfy theme. We'll have polls and stuff. So, how it's going to... I'll talk more about it as we get closer to it, but effectively, there will be ways for subscribers, VIPs, or anyone who wants to meet the criteria to get their name into the game and choose whatever class, if there is class choices and things, and we play through the game. So it's our PG, comrade. So that's the exciting announcement for the channel. Little preview for all of my Such a Brew viewers. I wasn't sure. I turned the music down a little bit because it was kind of loud in my ear. But can you guys still hear the music okay? I say as the song is ending. I hope it's still coming across pretty clear. But let's see. Happy said, I play the newer ones only, but I love them and Kingdom Hearts 2. Oh, for Final Fantasy. Yeah, to be honest, I do dig some old Final Fantasy, though. Final Fantasy 6, probably still my favorite, as far as in terms of story. So, we looked at Galoof's Final Act. Take note of this card, chat, because I'm going to show you an interaction that's going to be very fun with this card that we'll talk about when we get there. So next we have Gone, Town of Ruin. This is another one of the dual town lands. Land, town, enters tap, taps for black or green. This is the one from Final Fantasy IV. I don't remember Gone, if I'm honest, but that's part of why I want to replay through all the games, because I don't remember a lot of these places. I think Gone was the wizard town, if I remember right. Next we have Basic Swamp. This is the one from Final Fantasy V. Or I said Gone was 4, didn't I? This is Final Fantasy V. And then this card is not actually in the deck. This is one of my favorite art cards. It's got Shadow and Interceptor from Final Fantasy VI. The gold foil signed one. But this is my favorite art from the Final Fantasy set. This is, oh, it's not Nature's Lore. Let me look it up. One sec. If only I had my deck lists on Archidect so I could refer to them. So this is Search for the Frozen Esper, which is Nature's Claim. Costs a green. It's an instant. Destroy target artifact or enchantment. Its controller gains 4 life. But this is the scene from the opening of Final Fantasy VI. So you can see we have the Frozen Esper, we have Terra, we have Biggs and Wedge, all in the robot armor. And I just thought this was like the coolest foiling. I really dig how the foil hits that Esper. And this is the only pixel art card in the entire Final Fantasy set. So I had to include it. So this just sits in my bonus stack of stuff in the deck. Next up, we have Kefka Court Mage. That's my poor attempt at a Kefka laugh. 2 blue, black, red for a legendary human wizard. 4/5. When Kefka enters or attacks, each player discards a card. Then you draw a card for each card type among the cards discarded this way. So he comes in, 5 mana. Everybody has to discard. One opponent discards a land, one discards a creature, I discard an enchantment, and the other player discards a land. Well, there's 3 card types that were discarded, so I just pitched a card and drew 3 cards. That's a pretty great return on a 4/5 body. Also, you can pay 8 mana, each opponent sacrifices a permanent of their choice, and you transform Kefka at sorcery speed only. So you can't do this like in response as a blocker. It has to be during your turn. But Kefka transforms into Kefka, Ruler of Ruin, becomes a legendary avatar wizard, 5/7 with flying, and whenever an opponent loses life during your turn, you draw that many cards. This is so good for card draw. Opponents hate this card because you're swinging in for 5 damage on somebody, minimum with Kefka, and then drawing 5 cards? Ridiculous. Also, before Sephiroth was the one-winged angel, Kefka was the real angel. The angel bad guy. And then we have second copy of Kefka because I keep 1 in my sideboard in clear sleeves so that I don't have to unsleeve cards whenever they transform, because I hate unsleeving and resleeving my cards because it's a great way to mess up your sleeves forever. Next, we move to another dual land. Vector, Imperial Capital, land town, enters tapped, taps for black or red. Vector is the kingdom that you go to in Final Fantasy VI, where you're forced to do the Emperor's bidding. It's where Kefka lives. It's basically the main bad guy's base. And then we have a basic land mountain from Final Fantasy VI. I think this is the mountain where Cyan winds up, but I don't remember. Those names will make a lot more sense once we play Final Fantasy VI on the channel. Alright, next brick of cards to look at. Whoops. Well, there we go. Lost a couple there. There we go. So, up first, we have the Buster Sword, which is not going to stay put. One sec. I think I have too many cards in this stack. Let me just fix that. There we go. Okay. So, we are now moving along into the Final Fantasy VII cards. We have the Buster, or the Busted Sword, if you will. 3 mana for an artifact equipment. Equipped creature gets +3/+2. Whenever equipped creature deals combat damage to a player, draw a card. Then you may cast a spell from your hand with mana value less than or equal to that damage without paying its mana cost, and equips for 2. So again, with Firion, we make a copy of the Buster Sword that equips for free because it's -2 on the equip on the token. Gives the creature haste, they're +3/+2, and we get free spells. The fact that I don't see this card, I mean, granted, this card is kind of expensive, but the fact that I don't see this card in, like, every deck list that wants equipment, this card, like, this just runs in everything. It's colorless. It's free real estate. You've cast free spells. One of the most brokenest cards that they released in Final Fantasy. Alright, next up we have Tifa Lockhart. 1 and a green for a legendary human monk, 1/2 with trample, and landfall. Whenever a land you control enters, you double Tifa Lockhart's power until end of turn. Hey, this card is doing work in Standard when it came out. Most of y'all probably familiar with Tifa. This printing, this is the Chocobo promo version. It's got the Chocobo tracks there and the little foily Chocobo on the text box. I just thought it was super cute. So I used this version. And we do like having lots of lands in this deck. So the ability to throw an equipment on Tifa. You throw a Buster Sword on Tifa. Think about this. She becomes a 4/4. With trample. We drop a land. She becomes an 8/4. Beautiful. That you could basically then cast anything in this deck for free if Tifa connects with the Buster Sword. Next up, we have Aerith Gainsborough. You'll recognize her as we talked about her in our Jin Sakai deck. Cost 2 and a white for a legendary human cleric. 2/2 with lifelink. Whenever you gain life, you put a 1/1 counter on Aerith Gainsborough. And when she dies, you put X 1/1 counters on each legendary creature you control, where X is the number of 1/1 counters on Aerith. This deck is full of legendary creatures. She's in here because, you know, any instance of lifelink becomes just a great way to beef your board up. Next up, we have, here comes the boy, Vincent Valentine, 2 black for a legendary assassin, 2/2 with whenever a creature an opponent controls dies, you put a number of 1/1 counters on Vincent equal to that creature's power. And whenever Vincent attacks, you can transform him. Mind you, he's transforming, so he's keeping the 1/1 counters. Vincent here transforms into the Galleon Beast. It's a legendary werewolf beast, 3/2 with trample and lifelink, and when the Galleon Beast dies, you return it to the battlefield tapped front face up. So, you put 1/1 counters on him with Vincent, you attack with him, he becomes the Galleon Beast, he's now a trample lifelinker, your opponent blocked and killed him, he just comes back tapped as Vincent, still maintaining all of those 1/1 counters. Or wait, no, hang on, I have to think about this. No, because he is dying and you're returning him. So you do lose those 1/1 counters, but they're easy to rebuild. With Vincent, anytime an opponent's creature's dying, real easy to just rebuild those counters up. Sorry, I had to think about that. I was like, no, wait, it's when it dies. So it is leaving, so the counters fall off. And here we have an alternate version of Vincent. This is the one that is shuffled in the deck, but I keep a bonus copy in the clear sleeve, so I don't have to de-sleeve it. This one's in Japanese, and I don't read Japanese, so that's why we also have an English copy. Next up, we have the one-winged angel himself. This is the art card for Sephiroth. I think I just had this in there because I like the art. It's just, you know, stupid, sexy Sephiroth. It's cool art. But it's to also belie the fact that we have all of the arts of Sephiroth in this deck. So you can see we have Sephiroth here. This is the one that is shuffled in the deck. But what's he do? Well, let's move to Sephiroth, the version that is in the clear sleeve, that's in English. This is the full art foil one. This was, I believe, the biggest pull that I got from my Final Fantasy stuff, and still is. Sephiroth Fabled Soldier, 2 and a black, for a legendary human avatar soldier, 3/3, with whenever Sephiroth enters or attacks, you may sacrifice another creature. If you do, draw a card. And whenever another creature dies, target opponent loses 1 life and you gain 1 life. If this is the 4th time this ability has resolved this turn, transform Sephiroth. He transforms into, magical girl style, Sephiroth One-Winged Angel. There he is. Legendary Angel Nightmare Avatar, 5/5 with flying. As this creature transforms into Sephiroth One-Winged Angel, you get an emblem with whenever a creature dies, target opponent loses 1 life and you gain 1 life, and whenever Sephiroth attacks, you may sacrifice any number of other creatures. If you do, draw that many cards. So, this is kind of in here because the 2/2 elementals we make with our commander aren't really doing a lot on their own. And they're not legendary, but they are all colors. But what if those just become sack fodder for Sephiroth to draw us cards? And there's the One-Winged Angel emblem. And then you can't have Sephiroth without having a Sephiroth sword. We have the Masamune, 3 mana legendary artifact equipment. With as long as equipped creature is attacking, it has first strike and must be blocked if able. And equipped creature has, if a creature dying causes a triggered ability of this creature or an emblem you own to trigger, that ability triggers an additional time and equips for 2. So again, with Furion, we could make a copy of this that equips for free so that our Sephiroth triggers are doubled. So we could sacrifice 2 creatures when he attacks and triggers the ability twice, right? So he attacks, he gets first strike, must be blocked. Oh wait, no, it's only on the death trigger, so it's not the sacrifice 2. But if we have 2 copies of that, so we play Sephiroth. Go with me on this, chat. Let's go on a journey. Magical Fairy Christmas Dreamland, we play Sephiroth. We sacrifice a creature. Opponent loses a life, we gain a life. We play the Masamune. We make a token copy because we have Furia now. We equip both of them on Sephiroth. Now Sephiroth has haste. We attack with him. He has first strike and has to be blocked. We're getting double triggers on all those deaths, which will transform him and get us the emblem, which then gets us double triggers on that emblem. Pretty great synergy. I love that they made the Masamune flavorful to, you put it on Sephiroth. That's what it's there for. This doesn't go on anybody but Sephiroth, really. Next, we have some of our ramp in the deck. Reach the horizon, 3 and a green for a sorcery. Search your library for up to 2 basic land and or town cards with different names. Put them onto the battlefield, tap, then shuffle. Remember, our commander says our lands enter untapped. So we can just go get 2 towns and put them into play for 4 mana. And they come in untapped, immediately usable. This is basically pay 2 mana because the 2 lands we're getting with our commander out are coming in untapped. Then we have Midgar, City of Mako. This is one of the spell lands. It is a land town that enters tapped and taps for black mana, but has a sorcery attached to it. So this is an adventure land. It has Reactor Raid, 2 and a black for a sorcery adventure. You may sacrifice an artifact or creature. If you do, draw 2 cards. How this works with adventures, you can cast the sorcery, right? You can cast this part, and then you exile the rest of this card. You can then play the main part, the land in this case, from exile. So you get double use. You get a spell and a land out of this card. That with our commander out, has it enter untapped. Next we have the Gold Saucer. Land town, taps for a colorless. You can pay 2 and tap, flip a coin. If you win the flip, you make a treasure token. Or you can pay 3 and tap, sacrifice 2 artifacts to draw a card. It's just some decent utility. Maybe you want to invest later on in a turn to getting some treasures. Maybe you just want a gamba. That's what the Gold Saucer is all about. Sometimes you just gotta gamba. And there's the treasure token, which, oddly enough, the treasure token that I selected is just a treasure chest from Final Fantasy 1, not from 7. but I liked it. Next, we have Gongaga Reactor Town. Me? Gongaga. I said the meme. Land Town enters taps for a red or a green. This is Zach Fair's hometown from Final Fantasy VII. And we have a basic Plains. This, of course, is the Final Fantasy VII one with the 7th Heaven bar, which is the bar that Tifa Lockhart owns, where Avalanche makes their home base in Final Fantasy VII. You can see you got Midgar in the background there. You got the plate up above them. I love the scale and scope of this land, and it's just, it's pretty. All right, moving on into Final Fantasy VIII, we have Renoa Angel Wing. 2 and a white for a legendary, a legendary human rebel warlock, 2/4, with, at the beginning of combat on your turn, creatures you control with flying get +1/+1 and gain vigilance until end of turn. And whenever one or more attacking creatures you control die, you may return one of them to the battlefield tapped under its owner's control with a flying counter on it. Do this only once each turn. So it's kind of Luminous Broodmoth, but better. Luminous Broodmoth is any of our creatures die, they come back with flying counters. This one is, oh, did it die? It didn't have flying. Return it. Now it's flying. So, and we'll buff them up during combat. So, pretty great little card. Oh, you know, I just realized this says one or more attacking creatures return to the... So it doesn't matter if they have the flying counter or not. Huh. This is even better than I thought. Next, we have the best board wipe that Magic the Gathering has ever printed in white. We have Fated Clash. 3 white for a sorcery. Says you may cast the spell as though it had flash, meaning at instant speed, if a creature is attacking and a creature is blocking. Note, it doesn't say your creature attacking or your creature blocking. We're in multiplayer. This is Commander. One of my opponents attacks another opponent. I now have this at instant speed. Its effect is target creature you control and target creature an opponent controls each gain indestructible until end of turn, then destroy all creatures. People are misreading this card, and I think that's why it's not talked about enough. They think, oh, the flavorful thing you're supposed to do is I attack, my opponent blocks, my attacker, their blocker become indestructible, and we nerf everything else. That's not what this says. So, one opponent attacks another opponent, I choose my best creature, and my opponent's 0/1 plant token. Those get to stay, everything else dies. This is, for 5 mana, in my opinion, instant speed board wipe. This is one of the best board wipes that Magic has ever printed. Next up, we have Adia Possessed Sorceress, 2 blue, black, red, for a legendary human warlock, 2/5 with word 2. And at the beginning of combat on your turn, gain control of target creature and opponent controls until end of turn. Untap that creature, it gains haste until end of turn. So you're getting a repeatable once per turn, or once per your turn on your combat, you're getting an Act of Treason effect. So I just take my opponent's best creature, it's mine, I'm gonna swing with it. Whenever a creature you control but don't own dies, return it to the battlefield under its owner's control, and you draw a card. So you could just as easily, let me take your 1/1 human token and swing on you with it. And, oh, you blocked it? Well, I'm going to return it, but I draw a card. Except if it's a token, it doesn't return. I think. I'm pretty sure. Because a token would hit... it would hit the graveyard when it dies, so there's nothing to return. So I actually don't know about that. I'd have to look that up. Now that I've said that and embarrassed myself on the internet in front of all of you. But still a good ability. Hit your opponents with their own stuff. It's got that, hey, stop hitting yourself effect. And possible card draw. Maybe I am taking something scary of theirs and hitting them with it. There's any number of things you can do with this. Next up, we have Cypher, Balam Rival, 2 black-red for a legendary human mercenary with first strike. Whenever you attack a player, goad target creature that player controls. So goad is it must attack on the next available combat that it could attack. So you're forcing them to have to attack with something of theirs. Sorry, I had to hydrate there. Doing a lot of yapping. And has whenever a creature attacking one of your opponents becomes blocked by 2 or more creatures, that attacking creature gains death touch until end of turn. So, this is it's goaded, you blocked with 2 or more, it gains death touch. So any of your menace things like the Destined Warrior would automatically get death touch if they block. Next up, we have Duelist's Flame. X, red for an instant, says until end of turn, target blocked creature you control gets +X/+0 and gains trample. And whenever this creature deals combat damage to a player, look at that many cards from the top of your library, exile up to 1 non-land card from among them, and put the rest on the bottom of your library in a random order. You may cast the exiled card without paying its mana cost. Note that it doesn't have to be less than the amount that X was paid. So, if X equals 1, I get +1/+0 and trample. I look at the top card of my library, and if it's not a land, I get to just play it for free. Great little ramp spell in red. Next up, we have Squall, Gunblade Duelist. Red, white, black, so Mardu. For a legendary human mercenary, 3/2 with first strike. As Squall enters, you choose a number. Whenever 1 or more creatures attack one of your opponents, if any of those creatures have power or toughness equal to the chosen number, Squall deals damage equal to its power to the defending player. So, note that it doesn't say my creatures. So if I choose 2, anytime a 2-power creature attacks an opponent, Squall's going to deal 3 damage to that opponent for each of those creatures. Wait, is it for each? If any of those creatures have power or toughness equal to the chosen number. Okay, no, it's just the once. Yeah, so it's 1 time, but still. I swing out with a 2/2, I get 3 damage on the defender. And any of my opponents who attack an opponent with a 2-power creature, I deal 3 damage to that defender. So, I actually really dig this Squall versus the one in the main set. The one in the main set wanted to do double strike stuff and was kind of like Sun Titan, but smaller. This one adds a lot more interesting politics capabilities. Next up, we have the Jumbo Cactuar. That's right, it's the meme dream. 5 green for a 1/7 creature plant with 10,000 needles. Whenever this creature attacks, it gets +9,999/0 until end of turn. So it becomes a 10,007. This can finish games if it's not blocked. You put the fireball on it that gives them trample. You kill an opponent. Or, my new favorite little interaction I found, you remember Galoof's Final Act? When target creature dies, right, gets +1/0. When this creature dies, you put a number of 1/1 counters on one other target creature. So, your opponent is going to block the Jumbo Cactuar. They're going to try to kill the Jumbo Cactuar with spells. This is the Galoof target. You attack, it becomes a 10,007. In this case, it becomes a 10,001 and 7 power. That then, when he dies, I put 10,001 +1/+1 counters on another creature. Man, wouldn't it be great if we had a Tifa Lockhart in this deck? Imagine a Tifa Lockhart with 10,001 counters that power doubles whenever we play a land. It's the meme dream. And next we have the Poo-Poo UFO. That's right, there's Poo-Poo in this deck. 2 mana artifact creature construct alien, 0/4 with flying. You can tap and put a land on from your hand onto the battlefield. It's just a nice little ramp thing. Maybe you're trying to get, Tifa's power extra. And you can pay 3 until end of turn. This creature's base power becomes equal to the number of towns you control. So again, with our commander having that 8 mana thing where we can give our other creatures +X equal to the number of towns, this is just a cheaper version of that. If I have 8 towns in play, I could spend 3 mana and I have a flying 8/4. That's pretty great. That's pretty great. Next up, we have Balam Garden Seed Academy, land town. This enters the battlefield tapped. Taps for green or blue, and you can pay 5 green-blue. Tap and transform this land. This does cost 1 less to activate for each other town you control. So if I have 5 other towns, I pay green and a blue and transform this. It transforms into, as I throw all the cards on the ground, whoops, it transforms into Balam Garden Airborne, legendary artifact vehicle, 5/4 flying, with whenever Balam Garden attacks, draw a card and cruise for 1. So it's kind of got a little bit of like a smuggler's copter thing going, but bigger. So just have a flying vehicle attacker that's, ready to get you cards. Then we have the additional copy that gets shuffled in the deck, and a basic island from Final Fantasy VIII. If I remember right, this is right near the beginning of the game, I think. If I remember correctly, it's been a minute since I played Final Fantasy VIII. But I remember running around an area an awful lot like this and fighting, just farming fish enemies to draw spells and gain levels. Alright, next up, we are going to move into the Final Fantasy IX and 10 stuff. There we go. Whoops, I put those backwards. There we go. Alright, moving into the Final Fantasy IX stuff. We have Brilliant Wings. I need to... one sec. I forgot. I need to remove that version. We do have the demo, and I forgot to delete that for the theme. There we go. That's better. The demo version of the theme is great, but there was some stuff left in the song that was not meant to be. Anyway, we have Brilliant Wings, 1 and a white for an enchantment aura with flash. Enchant creature you control. Enchanted creature has flying and hexproof. And whenever a creature you control enters, you may pay 1. If you do, attach this aura to that creature. So this works great with Renoa. We can just give something flying and hexproof, which then Renoa would give it vigilance and +1/+1. And the fact that it's an aura that can be moved anytime we get a creature in, pretty great. Then we have Judgment of Alexander, 2 and a white for an instant, prevent all damage that would be dealt to you this turn by sources your opponents control. Whenever damage from a creature is prevented this way, each commander creature you control deals damage equal to its power to that creature. So if we throw the Buster Sword on our commander, he becomes a 4 power. He's then hitting our opponent's attackers for 4 damage. Pretty great. Or you give him Death Touch with Destined Black Mage. You give him Death Touch for till end of turn. Then our commander is dealing 1 damage with Death Touch and just nuking their board. And also, we're not dying. It's a fog effect, right? So it's a more fair and balanced Teferi's protection, in my opinion. Next we have Mega Flare. 2 and a red for a sorcery with kicker, 3 red. If this spell was kicked, you make a 6/6 red dragon creature token with flying. Then for each opponent, choose up to 1 target creature that player controls. Mega Flare deals damage equal to the greatest power among creatures you control to each of the chosen creatures. So, if we swung out with Jumbo Cactuar, we don't even have to pay the kicker cost. We could just pay 3 mana, and we deal 10,000 damage to 1 creature for each of our opponents. Great way to remove problems from opponents' boards. Next we have Amaranth Coral, 2 red-green for a legendary human monk, 5/4 with trample. Amaranth Coral attacks each combat if able, and has no mercy. Whenever Amaranth Coral deals combat damage to an opponent, it deals that much damage to each other opponent. This is a great target for the Genji Glove, giving him double strike and additional combats. Pretty great target. Next up we have Vivi's Persistence. This is 1 and a red for an instant. Has you make a 0/1 black wizard creature token with whenever you cast a non-creature spell, this token deals 1 damage to each opponent. And whenever your commander enters or attacks, you may pay 2. If you do, return this card from your graveyard to your hand. So if we just absolutely need more wizard tokens, we can get this back. Next up, we have the Search for Dagger. 1 and a white for an enchantment. Whenever your commander enters or attacks, look at the top 6 cards of your library. You may reveal a legendary creature card from among them and put it in your hand. Put the rest on the bottom of your library in a random order. This is just a great way to keep creatures in your hand, you know? Now, it does require our commander to either enter or attack, which our commander doesn't do a whole lot of attacking, but it's still there for utility if we just absolutely need to get more stuff in our hand. Next up, we have Kuja, Genome Sorcerer, 2 black-red for a legendary human mutant wizard, 3/4. With at the beginning of your end step, you make a 0/1 black wizard creature token with whenever you cast a non-creature spell, deals 1 damage to each opponent. That is the text on black wizard creature tokens. Then, if you control 4 or more wizards, transform Kuja. It counts itself, so as long as we have 3 other wizards, Kuja is transforming. And he does become Trance Kuja, Fate Defied. Legendary Avatar Wizard 4/6 with Flame Star. If a wizard you control would deal damage to a permanent or player, it deals double that damage instead. That includes himself. So now he basically hits as an 8/6. And all of our little pingy wizards now deal 2 damage. Then we have the version that's shuffled in the deck. Again, this is just the pretty art of Kuja, but it's in Japanese, and I can't read it, so I have an additional one. There's the wizard token. You can see token creature wizard, 0/1. Whenever you cast a non-creature spell, this token deals 1 damage to each opponent. So, that's the things that we make with Kuja and with Vivi's Persistence. And speaking of Vivi Ornitier. Ornitier, I don't know, jury is out on how you pronounce it. 1 blue-red for a legendary wizard. 0/3 has pay 0, add X mana in any combination of blue and or red where X is Vivi's power. Activate only during your turn and only once each turn. Also, whenever you cast a non-creature spell, put a 1/1 counter on Vivi, and it deals 1 damage to each opponent. So he continually gets bigger and pings, but Kuja can double that damage, and he's making more mana to cast us more things. You know this card. This card got banned. This card got banned in Standard. The card's a nightmare. Next up, we have Excalibur 2, Electric Boogaloo. 1 mana for legendary artifact equipment. Whenever you gain life, put a charge counter on Excalibur 2. Equipped creature gets +1/+1 for each charge counter on Excalibur 2. I do like that it puts it on the equipment. It equips for 3, by the way. It puts it on the equipment so that you can move the power around. If you need something else to be bigger, it's not putting the 1/1 counters on the equipped creature. It's moving along with it. And we've seen a few lifelink effects in this deck between Aerith and Destined White Mage, Rosa. We have a few ways to gain us life. Next up, we have Darkness of Eternity, which is Dark Ritual. 1 black for an instant, add 3 black mana. So, that is Dark Ritual. Why is it in here? Well, you'll see. We actually have a sideboard card that we're going to show later. That this is basically in here to help us cast that. But if nothing else, it is mana. It's mana accelerant. It's mana ramp. Next up, we have Lindblum, Industrial Regency, Land Town. This land enters tapped. Taps for a red. This is one of the adventure lands. It has Mage Siege. 2 and a red for an instant adventure. Create a 0/1 Black Wizard with Black Wizard text. Black Wizard token text, right? So we can get a Wizard token off of this, maybe help transform our Kuja earlier, and then play it as our land for turn. Next up, we have Treno Dark City. Land Town enters tap. Taps for blue or black. This is the dual town from Final Fantasy IX. We have a basic forest. This is the Final Fantasy IX one. I don't know any of these areas because I haven't played 9 yet. And now we move into the Final Fantasy X cards. So here we have Sin, Spira's Punishment. This is the alternate art for Sin. Costs 4 black, green, blue. Legendary creature Leviathan Avatar. Now, this card normally sits in the sideboard. It's there as a swap, just, in case I want to try something else dumb and fun. 7/7 flying with whenever Sin enters or attacks, exile a permanent card from your graveyard at random, then create a tap token that's a copy of that card. If the exiled card is a land card, repeat this process. So he enters, we return something. Is it a land? Well, we're gonna do it again. And as long as it is hitting lands, we just keep doing that. Now it is exiling it, so it is permanently removed from our graveyard, which is part of why I didn't run it in the main deck. Now there isn't a lot of graveyard return in this deck, but it can be hard for any kind of recursion like with Golbez. It can be hard for it to proc if we have Sin in play. Next up, we have Rides the Shootpuff. 1 and a green for an enchantment with landfall. Whenever a land you control enters, put a 1/1 counter on target creature you control. This is really there for Tifa, if we're honest. And you can pay 5 green. This enchantment becomes a 7/7 beast in addition to its other types. It doesn't say until end of turn, chat. It doesn't say until end of turn. You pay 7 mana, you get a 7/7 beast that also has this landfall ability. Pretty great. Next up, we have one of our other mana rocks for this deck, Blitzball. 3 mana for an artifact. You add 1 mana of any color, and it has goal! Tap, sacrifice this artifact, draw 2 cards, activate only if an opponent was dealt combat damage by a legendary creature this turn. So it's kind of a command sphere. It'll draw you cards. It'll draw you 2 cards, in fact, and all you have to do is attack with a legendary creature, which in this deck we are almost certainly doing. Next up, we have Zanarkand, Ancient Metropolis, land, town. This land enters tap, taps for green, and has Lasting Faith, 4 green, sorcery adventure. Create a 1/1 colorless hero token, creature token, put a 1/1 counter on it for each land you control. Then you exile this card, you play it as a land, and so on. So you can make kind of a big beater. If you just have the baseline 6 lands to pay this and you don't have any mana rocks, you're making a 7/7 for 6 mana. Because it's a 1/1 base creature. That's pretty great. And there's our hero. I chose the little potato. Lalafell version of the hero token, just because if we're gonna produce a hero from the Zanarkand land, I think it's funniest to have it be the tiniest of them. So that's the hero token that we use. It's also just cute art. You know, the nice thing, I've never played Final Fantasy XIV, but the nice thing that I know about Lalafell players from Final Fantasy XIV is that you always know when somebody is a Lalafell player because they will tell you. They will tell you that they're a Lalafell player. Next up, we have Guado Salam, Far Plain Gateway. Land, town, enters tapped, taps for a green or a blue. We do have all 10 of the dual towns in this deck. And our basic island, which is Besaid, if I remember right, or the area, the beach just outside of Besaid. It's where Titus first meets Waka on the beach. And yes, I know it's Titus, but I feel that's wrong. I'm one of those people. For me, it's always been Titus. All right. Moving on. Here we go. Next, we're going to be looking at the Final Fantasy 11, 12, and 13 cards. So, starting with more land ramp. Summon Fenrir, 2 and a green. Enchantment Creature Saga Wolf, 3/2. Chapter 1 has Crescent Fang. Search your library for a basic land card. Put it onto the battlefield. Tap, then shuffle. So we're getting mana ramp out of it. Then Chapter 2, Heavensward Howl. When you next cast a creature spell, this turn, that creature enters with an additional +1/+1 counter on it. And finally, Chapter 3, Ecliptic Growl. Draw a card if you control the creature with the greatest power or tied for the greatest power. So, we get land, we make creature bigger, and possibly draw cards. It's just a good utility enchantment creature, honestly. For 3 mana that kind of refunds itself 1, you're getting a 3/2. That's not nothing. Next up, we have more mana ramp. Prishy's Wanderings, 2 and a green for an instant. Search your library for a basic land card or town card. Put it onto the battlefield, tap, then shuffle. When you search your library this way, put a 1/1 counter on target creature you control. So we're getting ramp and 1/1 counter for 3 mana. And it can get towns, so it'll fix our mana. And remember, because our commander is the Wandering Minstrel, it is entering untapped. Next we have Windurst, Federation Center. Land, town, enters tapped. taps for a green or a white. And Basic Forest from Final Fantasy XI. I never played 11. I had a PS2, and I had the network adapter, and I've heard good things about it. I know that it was running like well up to 2015, which is wild. But I know that there's a lot of big fans of Final Fantasy XI, so I gotta keep some 11 stuff in the deck. Next we have Vaughn, Street Thief, 2 in a red, Legendary Human Scout, 2/2. With whenever one or more scouts, pirates, and or rogues you control deal combat damage to a player, exile the top card of that player's library. You may cast it. If you don't, create a treasure token. And whenever you cast a spell you don't own, put a 1/1 counter on each scout, pirate, and rogue you control. So he will get bigger. He can also make the Destined Thief bigger, because Thief is a rogue. So it can potentially ramp us if we're not casting the thing. This is basically fair Ragavan, effectively. That's how I've heard people refer to Vaughn. You take your opponent's stuff. If it's something really good, you can cast it. And then if you don't, you're getting ramp out of it. Next we have Rabanastre Royal City. Land town enters tapped. Taps for a red or a white. We have a basic Plains. This is the Final Fantasy XII one. Alright. Here's the big one. Let me get a drink here. Okay. So real talk. This is the reason why I built this deck. And why I put Genji Glove into the deck. So, Lightning Army of 1. 1 red white for a legendary creature, human soldier, 3/2, with first strike, trample, lifelink. And has stagger. Whenever lightning deals combat damage to a player until your next turn, if a source would deal damage to that player, or a permanent that player controls, it deals double that damage instead. This card is bananas. It is banana sandwich with a Genji Glove. So, let's look at this, shall we? Here we have Lightning and Genji Glove, right? Genji Glove equipped on Lightning. So, we attack with Lightning. She has first strike, trample, and lifelink. Except now she has double strike. So, we deal first strike damage for 3. We then deal double strike damage for 6. This creature attacks. It's the first combat phase. There's an additional combat phase. We're going to double each time she hits. So we hit for 3, then for 6. There's now an untapped lightning that we attack with, who's going to hit for 12 on first strike damage, and then 24. So, all in total, we've dealt 3, 6, 12, 24. Added together, that's 45 damage, if unblocked. And we're gaining all of that as life. That is insane. This is a one-shot kill. This is a kill on sight. If you put a Genji Glove on Lightning, your opponents better have removal or they die. And mind you, here's the thing a lot of people, I think, miss. It's not just my damage. It's any source. Do you have a player that's a problem and we need to politic and be like, hey, this person is the problem. What if I can make it so everything you have deals double? Because all my opponent's stuff now deals double, too, until my next turn. Now, is it kind of a bully that person? Sure. But sometimes you have the players at the table that are like, oh, this is just, it's just a Urza Lord High Artificer deck. It's not that scary. And this is what they should expect. Expect to get hit by lightning. Next up, we have the version of Vanille that's in the sideboard. Now, I know, normally, I have the Japanese cards in the deck, and we keep their English version in the sideboard. But this is the Surge Foil Vanille, and we're gonna show what they do here in a bit. So we'll come back to that version. So we have Vanille Cheerful Lassie, 3 and a green for a legendary human cleric, 3/2, with when Vanille enters, mill 2 cards, then return a permanent card from your graveyard to your hand. And at the beginning of your first main phase, if you both own and control Vanille and a creature named Fang Fearless Lassie, you may pay 3 black-green. If you do, exile them, then meld them into Ragnarok Divine Deliverance. So, there's Fang, Fearless Lassie, who has, whenever 1 or more cards leave your graveyard, you may draw a card, and you lose 1 life. This ability triggers only once each turn, and melds with Vanille Cheerful Lassie. So, and there's the version that's in the deck for Fang. So let's see what Ragnarok here is. So Meld is an ability that originally came out back in, I believe, Eldritch Moon, which was the second Innistrad set. So we take these 2 cards, they meld into... There we go. Let me get them lined up. There we go. So there's Ragnarok. Becomes legendary creature beast avatar 7/6 with vigilance, menace, trample, reach, and haste. And when Ragnarok dies, destroy target permanent and return target non-legendary permanent from your graveyard to the battlefield. So, Ragnarok dies, we blow something up of an opponent's, and we get something non-legendary of ours back. 7/6. Like, this can be a finisher. Is it Fairy Christmas Dreamland to have both of them out? Sure. But I wanted to put them both in the deck anyway, because there's always a chance that we could do the thing. Moving on, we have another one of the sideboard cards. This doesn't often run in the main deck because we don't do a whole lot of graveyard shenanigans, but we have Orphan Cocoon Fal'Cie, which is Muldrotha the Gravetide. 3 black, green, blue for a legendary elemental avatar 6/6. During each of your turns, you may play a land and cast a permanent spell of each permanent type from your graveyard. This is just good recursion. It's just a good way to get stuff back, you know? Oh wait, actually, I think, let me look up the deck list here. Is Orphan in the sideboard? Orphan is not in the sideboard. Let's see. There's 3 sideboarded cards, and oh, actually, Sin is in the main deck too. I misspoke. No, I have those swapped. I need to fix that. Let me change that. Sin is supposed to be in the sideboard. There we go. Sorry, chat. I had that mixed up. Orphan is in the main deck. There we go. And Orphan is in the main deck. I had those confuzzled. There we go. Yeah, Orphan we do want in the main deck because it will recast our stuff. Versus Sin, who's exiling stuff and can be kind of a nuisance. So, I had those confused. My apologies. This one is in the main deck. Sin is not. Sin is sideboard. Next up, we have Eden, Seat of the Sanctum, Land, Town. Tap, add colorless. Pay 5, tap, mill 2 cards. Then you may sacrifice this land. When you do, return another target permanent card from your graveyard to your hand. There's more recursion and some mill if you need. And we do sacrifice this land, so we can always get it back with, oh, I just said the name. Orphan. So there's a little bit of synergy there. Orphan and Eden. Next we have Basic Island. This is the Final Fantasy 13 one. Alright, moving on into the Final Fantasy 14 stuff. We have A Realm Reborn, 4 green for an enchantment. Says other permanents you control have tap, add 1 mana of any color. Now everything is mana rocks. Cost 6 mana, but worth it. Now we can just cast everything in our deck. Next up, we have Newfound Adventure. This is the Final Fantasy printing of Farseek. 1 and a green. For a sorcery, search your library for a plains, island, swamp, or mountain card. Put it onto the battlefield, tap, then shuffle. Note that the only cards we have that have the land types are basics. Is this better in a deck where you have multiple dual land types? Because this doesn't say basic. This can get you non-basic lands. Is it better in those? Sure. But sometimes you just need to hard fix your mana. Next we have Charlian, Nation of Scholars, Land Town, enters the battlefield tapped, taps for a white or a blue. I don't know. I guess this is like one of the first main hubs in Final Fantasy XIV. Still don't know. Haven't played it. And then we have Basic Swamp. This is the Final Fantasy XIV one. Cool looking land. Alright, that's all the Final Fantasy XIV cards. Now we move into FF15. The Broad Trip. Here we have Noctis, Heir Apparent, white, blue, black for a legendary human noble. 2/3 with whenever a creature you control enters during combat, you may attach target equipment you control to target creature you control. And has Warp Strike. You pay 3, exile Noctis, return it to the battlefield under its owner's control, tapped and attacking at the beginning of that player's next declare attacker's step. It can't be blocked that combat. This is a great target for the Buster Sword. Or for Genji Glove. Right? So he's going to come in during combat. We get to put an equipment on him for free. And he can't be blocked. Now, another good equipment to put onto Noctis is another new one from the Final Fantasy Scene Box, Fishing Gear. 3 mana for an artifact equipment. Whenever equipped creature deals combat damage to a player, exile the top card of that player's library. If it's a permanent card, you may put it onto the battlefield under your control. If you don't, you make a 1/1 blue fish creature token, and it equips for 2. So, this is a funny, oops, I play your permanents. And if it's not, you get a fish. You get more bodies. Perfect sack fodder for Sephiroth, or for Kefka, or for anything that we just need sacrifice things to draw cards. Next up we have Chocobo Camp. This is a land. This land enters tapped unless you control a legendary creature, so it's probably entering untapped. Tap and add green. When you next cast a bird creature spell this turn, it enters with an additional 1/1 counter on it. Spoilers. we don't have any other birds in this deck. But it's part of the scene. It's a land that enters untapped. It does have a useful ability, though. You can pay 2 green, tap, get a 2/2 green bird creature token with whenever a land you control enters. This token gets +1/0 until end of turn. So, it can make you Chocobos. Now, is it better in a Choco deck? Choco the Seeker? Sure. But we don't run Choco in here because we just have to make it all birds. And I thought it would be more fun to have the deck be all Final Fantasy stuff. There is the bird token, by the way. This is a creature token bird 2/2 gets +1/0 anytime a land you control enters. There we go. Next up, we have Flash Photography. New clone spell just dropped. 2 green, sorcery. You may cast this spell as though it had flash if it targets a permanent you control. You create a token that's a copy of target permanent and has flashback for 4 blue. This can hit lands. Do you just need to hard ramp? You can copy your lands. Next, we have Campsite Cuisine. 1 and a green for an enchantment with whenever this enchantment or a legendary creature you control enters, you make a food token. Whenever you attack, you may sacrifice X foods. When you do, up to X target attacking creatures each get +3/+3 and gain trample and indestructible until end of turn. This is just more trample outlet on a stick, honestly. Because say we've got Jumbo Cactuar, we can sack a food, and Jumbo Cactuar becomes a 10,010 with trample and indestructible. Pretty great little synergy. Or you throw it on Tifa, you drop a land, she gets double. Like, it's got some fun utilities with food tokens. Speaking of, there's the food token from Final Fantasy 15. The whole feast. Next we have Warrior's Resolve. 2 and a white for an enchantment. Creatures you control have training, which is whenever a creature you control attacks with another creature with greater power, you put a 1/1 counter on the creature with lesser power. All of our creatures gain training. So if we have a 5/5, all of our creatures that are less than power 5 are getting +1 counters. And at the beginning of your end step, if you control a creature with a +1/+1 counter on it that attacked this turn, draw a card. It's card draw in white. I love it. White typically doesn't get a lot of great card draw options. And we just saw him on the last card. We have Gladiolus Amicitia. 4 red, green for a legendary human warrior. 6/6 with when Gladi enters, search your library for a land card. Any land. Put it onto the battlefield, tap, then shuffle. Remember, our commander has it enter untapped. And has landfall whenever a land you control enters. Another target creature you control gets +2/+2 and gains trample until end of turn. That's a great target for a Jumbo Cactuar. That's a great target for Tifa. If we make Tifa a 3/4 that then doubles her power, she becomes a 6/4 with trample on 1 land. Pretty good. Okay, here's one of the other sideboard cards. So, we have Arden the Usurper, 5 black, for a legendary creature, Elder Human Noble, 4/4, with demons you control have Menace, Lifelink, and Haste. And at the beginning of combat on your turn, exile up to 1 target creature card from a graveyard. If you exile the card this way, create a token that's a copy of that card, except it's a 5/5 black demon, which would have Menace, Lifelink, and Haste. This card is not in there because a lot of people hate it when you take their stuff out of their graveyard. And it's also very hard to cast in this deck because there's really not a lot of black mana production. So I just keep it in the sideboard in case somebody wants to play a little more spiky. We'll say it that way. There we have our copy token, which is actually from Final Fantasy IV. You can see there's Cecil Harvey and his Dark Knight version. It's after he's become a paladin. It's a whole story thing in Final Fantasy IV. So that's the copy tokens that Arden creates. Next, we have another of the sideboard cards. Again, this one is really hard to cast in the deck, and it also can just be a nuisance for your opponents. Ancient Adamantoise. 5, green, 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 creature turtle, 8/20 with vigilance and ward 3, and damage isn't removed from this creature during cleanup steps. And all damage that would be dealt to you and other permanents you control is dealt to this creature instead. And when this creature dies, exile it and create 10 tapped treasure tokens. So it actually does ramp your mana when it dies and gives you an extra 20 life. This card is kind of messed up because it, in a format like Commander, it says, hey, I've got 20 bonus health and my creatures don't take damage. And even if you are attacking me, I can just choose to not block because it's not going to matter. And when this dies, I'm ramping accelerantly. It's a problem card. This is for if we want to play more sweaty, spiky Magic. That's why it's in the sideboard. Next up, we have the Regalia. 4 mana, legendary artifact vehicle, 4/4 with haste, cruise for 1. Whenever the Regalia attacks, reveal cards until you reveal a land. Reveal cards from the top of your library until you reveal a land. Put that card into the battlefield tapped, and the rest on the bottom of your library in a random order. So this is just keeps us ramping, keeps us running. I've put this in any of my decks that are 5 color. Well, not all of them, but many of my decks that are 5 color, because this is just a good way to keep your lands consistently hitting the table. Next, we have probably the biggest finisher in the deck. We have Blessing of the Oracle, which was a Chroma's Will. 3 and a white for an instant. Choose one. If you control a commander as you cast this spell, you may choose both instead. Creatures you control gain flying, vigilance, and double strike until end of turn. Or creatures you control gain lifelink, indestructible, and protection from each color until end of turn. So if we have our commander out, we get both. So everything we have gets flying, vigilance, double strike, lifelink, indestructible, and protection from all colors. That's just a good way to end games or stop board wipes, or there's any number of ways that this card can be useful. Next, we have Insomnia Crown City. Land town enters tap, taps for white or black. This is the black-white dual town. We have Basic Plains. This is the Final Fantasy 15 one. It's the boys on the road trip in the desert. There we go. Sorry, I just got a notification on Twitch there. There we go. All right. And now we're into the we're rounding home. Final Fantasy 16. You know, to be perfectly honest, chat, the idea for our PG, the new show we're doing, is because I want to play RPGs with you guys, with chat, and let you choose stuff. And I do want to finish the Final Fantasy challenge because I've had Final Fantasy 16 for well over a year, and I really want to play it. It looks so cool. But I also want to complete the challenge of doing all the mainline games. So, part of why we're doing a new RPG series in April is because of this boy. This is Clive Ifrit's Dominant, 4 red, legendary human noble warrior, 5/5, with when Clive enters, you may discard your hand, then draw cards equal to your devotion to red. So each red mana pip in costs of permanents you control count towards your devotion. So you're drawing at least 2. Now, mind you, this is ramp in red. If I have no cards, I can discard my 0 cards to draw 2 cards. That's pretty good. And for 4 red, tap and exile Clive, then return it to the battlefield transformed under its owner's control. Activate only as a sorcery. We'll have a look at Clive's other side here. Transforms into Ifrit, Warden of Inferno, a legendary enchantment creature Saga Demon, 9/9. Chapter 1, Ifrit fights up to 1 other target creature, so you're getting some removal potentially. And then Chapter 2 and 3, add 4 red mana. If Ifrit has 3 or more lore counters on him, you exile him, then return him to the battlefield front face up. So he just makes you 4 red mana. On the 3rd chapter, he comes back as Clive Ifrit's dominant, letting us draw cards. So these guys just stick around. All of the main characters from Final Fantasy you're going to see are going to have that. There's the version that's in the deck. It's in Japanese. Next we have Jill, Shiva's dominant, 2 and a blue. For a legendary human noble warrior, 2/2, with when Jill enters, return up to 1 other target non-land permanent to its owner's hand. This could be ours. This could mana war an opponent and bounce something back to their hand. And then for 3 blue, we exile Jill, then return it to the battlefield transformed under our control. Activate only as a sorcery. Jill transforms into Shiva, Warden of Ice. So, becomes a legendary enchantment creature, Saga Elemental, 4/5, with Chapter 1, Mesmerize, target creature can't be blocked this turn. Does that for Chapter 2 as well. And then Chapter 3, Cold Snap. Tap all lands your opponents control, exile Shiva, then return it to the battlefield, front face up. So you just freeze down all of your opponent's lands. This is a great way to stop their counter magic from happening. There's the version that's in the deck. Next we have Joshua Phoenix's Dominant, 1 red-white for a legendary human noble wizard, 3/4, with when Joshua enters, discard up to 2 cards, then draw that many cards. And 3 red-white, tap, exile Joshua, then return it to the battlefield transformed under its owner's control, activate only as a sorcery. Transforms into Phoenix, Warden of Fire. Becomes a legendary enchantment creature, Saga Phoenix, 4/4 with flying and lifelink. Chapter 1, Phoenix deals 2 damage to each opponent. Chapter 2 does the same thing, that's Rising Flames. Chapter 3, Flames of Rebirth. Return any number of target creature cards with total mana value 6 or less from your graveyard to the battlefield. You exile Phoenix, return it to the battlefield front face up. There's the version that's in the deck. It's the extended art in Japanese. Next we have Dion, Bahamut's Dominant, 3 and a white for a legendary human noble knight, 3/3, with Dragonfire Dive. During your turn, Dion and other knights you control have flying. He makes your knights jump. When Dion enters, you make a 2/2 white knight creature token. And 4 white, exile Dion, return him to the battlefield transformed under his owner's control. Activate only as a sorcery. Transforms into Bahamut, Warden of Light. So, becomes a legendary enchantment creature, Saga Dragon, 5/5 with flying. And Chapter 1 and 2, Wings of Light. Put a 1/1 counter on each other creature you control. Those creatures gain flying until end of turn. And Chapter 3, Giga Flare. Destroy target permanent, exile Bahamut, then return him to the battlefield front face up. So he just flips back over, makes you another knight, and you can give all your knights flying on your turn. There's the version that's in the deck. Also, we have Canonical Gay in Magic the Gathering. More so than Ral Zarek and Tomek, right? This is... Dion is canonically, that is his partner in the background. So I believe it's also first openly gay character in Final Fantasy. So we're getting there. It took 40 years, but we're getting there. There's the Knight token. It's one of the knights from Final Fantasy VII from Knights of the Round. Little 2/2 white knight there. Next we have Torgal, a fine hound. 1 and a green for a legendary wolf, 2/2, with whenever you cast your first human creature spell each turn, that creature enters with an additional +1/+1 counter on it for each dog and or wolf you control, and taps for a mana of any color. If we also have Fenrir, we get 2 1/1 counters, because Fenrir is a wolf, and Torgal's a wolf. So our first human gets 2 1/1 counters. That's pretty great. And he's a little mana dork. Then we have Clive's Hideaway, land town with Hideaway 4. I love the flavor that Clive's Hideaway has Hideaway. Hideaway is when this land enters, you look at the top 4 cards of your library, exile 1 face down, then put the rest on the bottom in a random order. Taps for colorless, and you can pay 2, tap. You may play the exiled card without paying its mana cost if you control 4 or more legendary creatures. In this deck, that's not hard to do. And we have a Wastes. Basic land. This is the one from Final Fantasy 16. You see we got Torgal and Clive there. And that's it. That's the Final Fantasy deck, y'all. So, the deck's a lot of fun. It is not a, like, hyper-competitive deck. It's just kind of 5-color, oops, fun, dumb stuff with lots of things that can make you a problem. And lots of stuff that's just fun. So, what we're going to do now, we're going to take a little break, as we do, before we pivot on over to our next deck. So, let me get my break message here. We'll leave y'all chilling to the theme music. There we go. Friends, I will see you in just a couple minutes. This is a perfect chance for you to cycle your fluids, refresh your drinks, maybe grab a snack, get comfy, get cozy, and we'll see you in just a few. All right? All right, and we are back. Welcome back, everybody. Hopefully you had a good break. You got a chance to hydrate, cycle your fluids, do all the self-care things. We are going to be jumping into our second deck for the evening. This is our Oops All Doctors deck. So, starting with, we do have 2 commanders for this deck in order to make it 5 color. First up on the list, we have the 14th Doctor. It's a Gruul hybrid, so red-green, hybrid mana with white and blue. For a legendary Time Lord Doctor, 3/4, with when you cast this spell, reveal the top 14 cards of your library. Put all Doctor cards revealed this way into your graveyard, and the rest on the bottom of your library in a random order. You may have the 14th Doctor enter the battlefield as a copy of a Doctor card in your graveyard that was put there from your library this turn. If you do, it gains haste until end of turn. So, as you're going to see, we have every iteration of the Doctor that exists in Magic the Gathering in this deck. And some Doctors that are not even the main Doctors you would think of. So that is our first commander. Our second is Clara Oswald. 6 mana for a legendary, it's colorless. 6 mana for a legendary human advisor. 2/6 with Impossible Girl. Let me turn the music down a little bit there. There we go. Impossible Girl. If Clara Oswald is your commander, you choose a color before the game begins. Clara Oswald is the chosen color. So she's colorless, but at game start, we choose the color black so that our deck is 5 colors. And has, if a triggered ability of a Doctor you control triggers, that ability triggers an additional time. And has Doctor's Companion, you can have 2 commanders if the other is the Doctor. So, because our commander is the 14th Doctor, he's 4 colors, she's the 5th color. That does double trigger our mill ability. So we mill 14 cards, put the Doctors in the graveyard, and then do that again. So we have tons of options that we could have the 14th Doctor clone. Then, of course, what is a Doctor Who deck without the Sonic Screwdriver? 3 mana for an artifact with tap, add 1 mana of any color, pay 1 and tap to untap another target artifact, pay 2 and tap to scry 1, or pay 3 and tap, target creature can't be blocked this turn. So it's a good utility. It can either get us some mana, it can untap some of our other artifacts in the deck. We could scry to set up our draw, or we can just, if we need to push damage, we can make something unblockable. And this is the version from the secret lair. This is the 14th Doctor's Sonic Screwdriver. Technically, I believe this is also the 13th Doctor's Sonic Screwdriver, if I remember correctly, but I may not. Alright, so we're doing this deck a little bit differently too. We are going to move chronologically through the Doctors, and then we'll look at villains, and then we'll look at lands and all of that. Okay? So, up first we have the first Doctor, 1 white, blue, for a legendary Time Lord Doctor, 2/2, with when the first Doctor enters the battlefield, search your library and or graveyard for a card named TARDIS. Reveal it, put it into your hand. If you search your library this way, shuffle. Whenever you cast a spell with Cascade, put a 1/1 counter on target artifact or creature. So this could pump the Doctor, or could also pump the TARDIS, which is 2 mana, artifact vehicle, 2/4 with flying, cruise for 2, so the first Doctor can crew it. And whenever TARDIS attacks, if you control a Time Lord, the next spell you cast this turn has Cascade, and you may Planeswalk, which isn't relevant for most Commander formats, but all of the Doctor Who decks came with the TARDIS and with 10 Plane Chase cards. So it can be relevant if you are playing Plane Chase in Commander. But whenever we Cascade, we can also put counters on the TARDIS and make it bigger. Next, we have the second Doctor, 2 white, blue, for a legendary Time Lord Doctor, 2/4, with players have no maximum hand size. And how civil of you. At the beginning of your end step, each player may draw a card. Each opponent who does can't attack you or permanents you control during their next turn. So a nice little politics piece. You could say, hey, group hug, you can draw a card, but if you do, you can't attack me. But I can draw extra cards because each player can draw a card. So I get to draw extra cards and no max hand size. Next, we have the third Doctor, 2 green, blue for legendary Time Lord Doctor, 2/2 with trample. The third Doctor gets +1/+1 for each non-creature token you control. So all of our clues, foods, treasures, any of those non-creature tokens, all make him bigger. And when the third Doctor enters the battlefield, create your choice of a clue, a food, or a treasure. So he can be a pretty decent attacker and can get kind of big kind of quick if you got the right stuff on your board. Next, we have the fourth Doctor, 2 green, blue for a legendary Time Lord Doctor, 4/4 with you may look at the top card of your library anytime, and would you like a... Once each turn, you may play a historic land or cast a historic spell from the top of your library. When you do, make a food token. Again, the reminder, if you don't remember from us talking about our Sisay deck last week, historics are artifacts, legendaries, and sagas. Those are all historic. Then we have our food token. If you didn't know, the 11th Doctor, Matt Smith, is my favorite Doctor. So my food token I chose was the fish fingers and custard. Food is it's a token artifact, food, with pay 2, tap, sacrifice this artifact, you gain 3 life. So this gains us life, it pumps the third Doctor, it's just a good little utility. On the back side we have Alien Angel token, with which is a token artifact creature, Alien Angel, first strike vigilance. Whenever an opponent casts a creature spell, this permanent isn't a creature until end of turn. It's a 2/2. I think we have one thing that makes these in the deck, so you may see that come up later. Next we have the fifth Doctor, 2 white, blue for legendary Time Lord Doctor, 2/2 with peaceful coexistence. At the beginning of your end step, put a 1/1 counter on each creature you control that didn't attack or enter the battlefield this turn, and you get to untap those creatures. So If you're not doing a lot of attacking, your creatures are getting bigger. And they're untapping, so if you have any tap abilities on them, you're getting extra use out of them. Next, we have the 6th Doctor. 4 green-blue, legendary Time Lord Doctor. 3/3 with Time Lord's Prerogative. Whenever you cast a historic spell, copy it. Except the copy isn't legendary. This ability triggers only once each turn. Again, artifacts, legendaries, and sagas are historic, and a copy of a permanent spell becomes a token. So we're getting double the Doctors, right? We cast a Doctor, we get 2 of them. And that token isn't legendary. So this is actually, even though this is not a Doctor that I've ever really cared for, he was kind of rude, it's a very good card. Next, we have the 7th Doctor, 3 white-blue for a legendary Time Lord Doctor, 3/6 with whenever the 7th Doctor attacks, choose a card in your hand. Defending player guesses whether that card's mana value is greater than the number of artifacts you control. If they guess wrong, you may cast it without paying its mana cost. If you don't cast a spell this way, investigate, which is make a clue token. Clue tokens are an artifact with pay 2, sack the artifact, draw a card. So you have your opponent do a little guessing game. And if they guess wrong, you just get the thing for free. And if they guess right, or you don't cast the thing, you get clue tokens. Next, we have the 8th Doctor, 4 white-blue for a legendary Time Lord Doctor, 4/4, with when the 8th Doctor enters the battlefield, mill 3 cards. Once during each of your turns, you may play a historic land or cast a historic spell, permanent spell, from your graveyard. If you do, it gains, if this permanent would leave the battlefield, exile it instead of putting it anywhere else. Basically a finality counter, but with a few other restrictions. Because if it would leave the battlefield, like if you bounce it back to your hand or try to blink it, you just exile it. So it's a little more restrictive than finality counters. Next, we have the 9th Doctor, Christopher Eccleston himself. 1 blue-red for a legendary Time Lord Doctor, 2/4 with haste, and into the TARDIS. Whenever the 9th Doctor becomes untapped during your untap step, you get an additional upkeep after this step. So if you have any upkeep triggers, you get double those, right? Because you're getting a second upkeep. Next, we have the 10th Doctor. 3 blue-red for a legendary Time Lord Doctor, 3/5 with Allons-y. Whenever you attack, exile cards from the top of your library until you exile a non-land card. Put 3 time counters on it. If it doesn't have suspend, it gains suspend. And timey-wimey, you pay 7, time travel 3 times. Activate only as a sorcery. Time travel is for each suspended card you own and each permanent you control with the time counter on it, you may add or remove a time counter. Then do it 2 more times because you're time traveling 3 times. So suspend counters are removed during your upkeep. So the 9th Doctor helps us cast our suspended cards that much faster. And then 10th Doctor, because you're exiling stuff with 3 time counters, if you do his timey-wimey ability, you just get the thing immediately because you could remove all 3 time counters. Next, we have the 11th Doctor, Matt Smith. 1 white-blue for legendary Time Lord Doctor, 3/2 with I Am Talking. Whenever the 11th Doctor deals combat damage to a player, you may exile a card from your hand with a number of time counters on it equal to its mana value. If it doesn't have suspend, it gains suspend. And you can pay to target creature with power 3 or less can't be blocked this turn. So you get more unblockable. Then we have the War Doctor, 1 John Hurt. 2 red-white for legendary Time Lord Doctor, 3/5, with whenever 1 or more other permanents phase out, and whenever 1 or more other cards are put into exile from anywhere, put a time counter on the War Doctor. So anytime we suspend cards, he's getting time counters. And whenever the War Doctor attacks, it deals damage equal to the number of time counters on it to any target. If a creature dealt damage this way would die this turn, exile it instead. Which is putting more time counters on him. So if we use that damage to target an opponent's creature and it kills it, it's exiled, he gets another time counter. So he'll be dealing even more damage. Next we have the 12th Doctor, 3 blue-red for a legendary Time Lord Doctor 4/4 with the first spell you cast from anywhere other than your hand each turn has Demonstrate. When you cast that spell, you may copy it. If you do, choose an opponent to also copy it. Copy of a permanent spell becomes a token. Whenever you copy a spell, put a 1/1 counter on the 12th Doctor. So all those suspended cards have Demonstrate because they're not being cast from our hand. Or if we have the 8th Doctor and we're casting stuff from our graveyard, they have Demonstrate. So we can cast it twice, basically. We just let our opponent also do that spell. Then we have the 13th Doctor, 1 green blue for a legendary Time Lord Doctor 2/2 with Paradox. Whenever you cast a spell from anywhere other than your hand, put a 1/1 counter on target creature. And Team TARDIS, at the beginning of your end step, untap each creature you control with a counter on it. That includes time counters like the War Doctor. Then we have the Fugitive Doctor, 3 red-green for a legendary Time Lord Doctor 4/4 with when the Fugitive Doctor enters the battlefield, investigate, so we make a clue. Whenever the Fugitive Doctor attacks, you may sacrifice a clue. When you do, target instant or sorcery card in your graveyard gains flashback 2 red-green until end of turn. You may cast that card from your graveyard for its flashback cost, but you then exile it. So we get to flashback some of our instants and sorceries, which there's not a lot in this deck, but having extra use of them can be very helpful. There's the clue token, which again, clue tokens, you pay 2, sack the artifact, draw a card. I forget exactly what this cube is. I remember it's from the Matt Smith era, the 11th Doctor era, but I forget what the cube was. It's been a minute since I've watched Matt Smith's Doctor. Oh, and the other side of that is a copy token, which has Daleks and Cybermen and Weeping Angels and all kinds of the enemies, which I just remembered. Did we see any other tokens? I don't believe we have yet. No. Okay. I'll try and remember to show both sides of all the tokens that we have in the deck. Next, we have the 15th Doctor. This is one of the Secret Lair cards. 2 blue-red for a legendary Time Lord Doctor 3/3 with whenever the 15th Doctor enters the battlefield or attacks, mill 3 cards. You may put an artifact with mana value 2 or 3 from among them into your hand. So it could be the TARDIS, it could be the Sonic Screwdriver, any 2 or 3 value artifact. And the first non-artifact spell you cast each turn has Improvise, meaning your artifacts can help you cast that spell. Each artifact you tap after you're done activating mana abilities pays for 1. So we can use our artifacts to help us cast stuff. Which, looking at the mana curve for this deck, is very helpful. Anytime you can, you can reduce costs, it's very helpful for this deck. There we go. Next we have Osgood Operation Double. This is the Surge Foil version. So it's actually featuring the other art of Osgood. 2 blue for a legendary human alien shapeshifter 2/2 with when you cast the spell, create a token that's a copy of it, except it isn't legendary. Tap to add a colorless. Spend this mana only to cast an artifact or activate an ability of an artifact. And whenever you cast, has a Paradox, whenever you cast a spell from anywhere other than your hand, investigate. So you make clue tokens, right? So you cast Osgood, you get a copy of Osgood. Each of them can tap for colorless. They can pay to crack clues. So, the reason why I bring up that it's the Surge foil, they did a cool thing with the Surge foils where they made a copy token for Osgood, but it was this art wearing the scarf, right? And this is the main art. Well, the Surge foil, they swapped the arts. Or, no, I might have that backwards. I think this is the main art, and the copy had this, but the extended Surge foil version of Osgood, they swapped the art. That's what it was. So I use this one as my copy token, the extended Surge. And then on the back, we have a shapeshifter token. It's 2/2, shapeshifter, changeling. It's all creature types. You'll see why that's relevant. Next we have Rose Tyler, 1 and a white. We're now moving into our non-doctor creatures. Right, we moved into that with Osgood. Osgood was the start of our non-doctors. So these are going to be Doctor's Companions, right? Rose Tyler, 1 and a white, legendary human, 2/2 with Rose Tyler, gets +1/+1 for each time counter on it. And Bad Wolf, whenever Rose Tyler attacks, put a time counter on it for each suspended card you own and each other permanent you control with a time counter on it. Now, because these are time counters, the 10th Doctor can add more with the time travel ability and has Doctor's Companion, so it can be Commander if our other commander is the Doctor. Next, we have Yasmin Khan, 3 and a blue, legendary human detective. 3/3 with tap, exile the top card of your library. Until your next end step, you may play it. So you basically have, because you could do this on an opponent's turn, you could use that card on your next turn, or any time it could normally be cast, right? If I do this on my turn, I have until the end of that turn to play it, but it is exiling it, and so therefore it's going to trigger anything that says I'm not casting stuff from hand. So it pairs really well with the 13th Doctor. Also has Doctor's Companion. Next we have Ryan Sinclair, 2 and a red, legendary human, 2/2, with whenever Ryan attacks, exile cards from the top of your library until you exile a non-land card. You may cast the exiled card without paying its mana cost if it's a spell with mana value less than or equal to Ryan's power. Put the exiled card not cast this way, the exiled cards not cast this way, on the bottom of your library in a random order, and Doctor's Companion. So, this pairs really well with the War Doctor, because the War Doctor says whenever we exile stuff, he gets time counters. And then when War Doctor attacks, he does damage to any target equal to the time counters. So when Ryan attacks, we exile a bunch of cards, and then we're putting time counters on the War Doctor. Now, there is the hitch of it just exiles until we hit a non-land. So the true combo that people were playing with when these first came out is you do a red-white deck with the War Doctor, and because Ryan Sinclair has Doctor's Companion, you run both of them in your command zone because the War Doctor is a doctor. So then on a stick, and then you just put all lands, is effectively how the combo works, right? So I put War Doctor and Ryan into play, I attack with both, I exile my entire deck, put that many time counters on the War Doctor, and you see where it gets out of hand. Next we have River Song, 1 blue-red for a legendary human Time Lord Rogue, 2/2 with meat in reverse. You draw cards from the bottom of your library rather than the top. Works great with scrying. You could scry one to the bottom and then draw that card. Also has spoilers. Whenever an opponent scries, surveils, or searches their library, put a 1/1 counter on River Song. Then River Song deals damage to that player equal to its power. So your opponent has Evolving Wilds or Terramorphic Expanse. Great. Rivers getting bigger and doming them for looking for lands. Your opponent plays ramp spells. Great. Rivers getting bigger and doming them for ramping. They're doing fetch lands to get their surveil lands. Great. Rivers doming them on both of them. So very, very neat card, and is part of a 2-card infinite turn combo that you'll see here momentarily. Next, we move into Riversong's Diary, 3-mana artifact with imprint. Whenever a player casts an instant or sorcery spell from their hand, you exile it instead of putting it into a graveyard as it resolves. And at the beginning of your upkeep, if there are 4 more cards exiled with Riversong's Diary, choose one of them at random. You may cast it without paying its mana cost. So you just get to cast your opponent's instants and sorceries for free on your upkeep. Which if we remember, if we have the 9th Doctor, we get 2 upkeeps. I love when my opponents have lots of ramp spells with this card out, because then we get all of their ramp spells. Next, we have Rose Noble, another of the Secret Lair cards. 3 and a blue for a legendary human, 2/3 with Ward 2. Whenever you cast a Doctor spell, or create or a creature with Doctor's Companion, draw a card. Also has Doctor's Companion. So it's just card draw. It's just good card draw trigger, right? Because we're just full of Doctors and Doctor's Companions. Next, we have K9 Mark 1, 1 blue for a legendary artifact creature robot dog, 1/1 with negative. As long as K9 Mark 1 is untapped, other legendary creatures you control have Ward 1, so good protection. And affirmative. 1 and a blue, tap, target legendary creature can't be blocked this turn, and has Doctor's Companion. So we're getting to keep our creatures safe with Ward, or we can make them unblockable if we just need to go and get some damage in. K9 has a lot of very good utility. Next, we have Romana II, or Romana 2, Electric Boogaloo. 3 and a white, legendary Time Lord Scientist, 3/3 with Vigilance, and pay 1 tap, create a tapped token that's a copy of target token that entered the battlefield this turn. Also has Doctor's Companion. So, when we have the 6th Doctor, who's giving us token copies of our historic things, we can pay 1, tap Romana, and make a second non-legendary copy. So you see the synergy there. Double the copies. Next up, we have Sarah Jane Smith, 1 and a white for a legendary human detective, 2/1 with whenever you cast a historic spell, investigate. This only triggers once a turn. And has Doctor's Companion. So we're just making clue tokens. Clue tokens that we could copy with Romana. Clue tokens that help buff the 3rd Doctor. Clue tokens just generally good. Then we have Barbara Wright, 1 and a white for a legendary human advisor, 1/3 with History Teacher. Sagas you control have Read Ahead. Read Ahead is, as a saga enters the battlefield, you choose a chapter and start with that many lore counters on it. Skip chapters don't trigger. Also has Doctor's Companion. The reason is, you will see we have quite a few sagas in this deck. The ability to just cast them and have them do whatever we need that saga to do is very helpful. Also pairs very well with Ian Chesterton, 2 and a white, legendary human scientist, 2/3 with Science Teacher. Each saga you cast has Replicate. The Replicate cost is equal to its mana cost. So when you cast that saga, you copy it for each time you paid its Replicate cost. Copies of permanents enter the battlefield as tokens, and has Doctor's Companion. So if we have a bunch of mana, we can just get multiple copies of the sagas that we cast. And if we have Barbara, they all have Read Ahead. So we can just have them proc at whatever chapter we need. You'll see the sagas momentarily. And One of the only Doctor Who cards that isn't, one of the only non-Doctor Who cards that is in the deck. Time Stream Navigator, 1 and a blue, creature, human pirate wizard, 1/1 with Ascend. If you control 10 or more permanents, you get the city's blessing for the rest of the game. But most importantly, has 2 blue, tap, put Time Stream Navigator on the bottom of its owner's library, take an extra turn after this one. Activate only if you have the city's blessing. So, if we have 10 or more permanents, we get the city's blessing. We spend 4 mana. We get an extra turn. We bottom deck Time Stream Navigator. If we have River out, we draw off the bottom of our deck, drawing Time Stream Navigator. Now, if we have ways to draw cards like, say, I don't know, a Clue token, we crack a Clue token, we draw Time Stream Navigator, we put it into play, we move to our extra turn, it loses Summoning Sickness, we do that again. Infinite turns. Infinite turns. That's what this is. With River, you can take infinite turns. This is considered a bracket 4 deck only because of this card and River, because there's infinite turns. Alright, that moves us through all of the hero cards. Next, we're going to have a look at the villains, the sagas, and the instants and sorceries. So, up first we have another of the Secret Lair cards. This is the Meep. 2 and a black for a legendary alien 0/4 with ward, pay 3 life. Whenever the Meep attacks, you may sacrifice another creature. If you do, creatures you control have base power and toughness XX until end of turn, where X is a sacrificed creature's mana value. You've seen we have some pretty high mana value stuff in this deck. So the ability to sacrifice it and just get a board pump off of that is pretty great. Next we have Neil Patrick Harris as the Celestial Toymaker. Esper, so white, blue, black for a legendary rogue artificer 2/4 with whenever the Celestial Toymaker attacks, look at the top 3 cards of your library, exile any number of them in a face-down pile and the rest in a face-up pile. Defending player chooses one of those piles, you put that pile in your hand. And at the beginning of each end step, each opponent loses 2 life for each spell or ability that caused 1 or more players to guess or to group cards or put permanents into a pile. Oh wait, I read that wrong, sorry, dyslexia. For each spell or ability that caused 1 or more players to guess or to group cards or permanents into a pile this turn. So, we have defending player guess, they pick a pile that he makes, then they're going to lose 2 life for that ability. We also had some other things that had us make them guess. If you remember, the 7th Doctor, where is he? There we go. The 7th Doctor here has us make a defending player guess if a card has lesser mana value. That's making them guess. So, 7th Doctor really likes having Celestial Toymaker around because it's making them lose life. Next up we have Davros, Dalek Creator. 1 and Grixis, so blue, black, red, for a legendary artifact alien scientist creature. 3/4 with Menace. At the beginning of your end step, create a 3/3 black Dalek artifact creature token with Menace if an opponent lost 3 or more life this turn. Then, each opponent who lost 3 or more life this turn faces a villainous choice. Either you draw a card, or that player discards a card. So either we're getting cards, or they're pitching cards. Now, not as great if your opponent has no cards in hand, but it does make you Daleks, which, there we have the Dalek token. Token artifact creature Dalek, 3/3 with Menace. Next we have Missy, 3 and Grixis, so blue, black, red, for a legendary Time Lord rogue creature, 4/5. with whenever another non-artifact creature dies, return it to the battlefield face down, tapped, under your control. This is opponent's creatures, it's my creatures, any non-artifact creature. I get it as a face down creature. It is a 2/2 Cyberman artifact creature. Then, at the beginning of your end step, each opponent faces a villainous choice. Each artifact creature you control deals 1 damage to that opponent, or you draw a card and chaos ensues. Now, more than likely, you're just drawing a card. The chaos ensues, that's part of Plane Chase, just like with the TARDIS. So if you are playing Plane Chase, fun little additional ability. But more than likely, your opponents don't want to take damage, so you're getting to draw cards. Then we have the Cyberman token there. 2/2 artifact creature Cyberman. You can see both the Dalek and the Cyberman have their opposites on the back side. So Cyberman is also Dalek and vice versa. Next we have the Master, Gallifrey's and 2 black-red for a legendary Time Lord Rogue, 4/3 with Make Them Pay. Whenever a non-token artifact creature you control dies, you may exile it. If you do, choose an opponent with the most life among your opponents. That player faces a villainous choice. Either they lose 4 life, or you create a token that's a copy of that card. So, those Cybermen, they're going away. My opponent either pays 4 life, or I make another Cyberman. Next we have the Master multiplied, 4 black-red for a legendary Time Lord Rogue, 4/3 with Myriad. The legend rule doesn't apply to creature tokens you control, and has triggered abilities you control can't cause you to sacrifice or exile tokens you control. So Myriad is whenever this creature attacks, you make a token copy of it for each opponent that this isn't attacking. That is tapped, the tokens are tapped and attacking, right? So we have a 4/3, I attack one opponent, I make 1 copy of this tapped and attacking for each other opponent. Then you sacrifice those at end of turn, normally, except that those tokens aren't being legend ruled, and we don't sacrifice them at the end. All of the token copies keep Myriad. So we go to the next turn, we then have 3 Master Multiplieds. We attack with each of those Master Multiplieds. Each of them is going to make 2 token copies, as long as we have 3 opponents, that we then get to keep, and you see how it can just kind of get out of control all by itself. This is actually a super fun design space for a card. I really like what they did with Master Multiplied. Next we have the Master Mesmerist. 2 blue-black for a legendary Time Lord Rogue, 3/3 with tap. Target creature and opponent controls with power less than or equal to the master's power gains Skulk until end of turn, and you goad it. A creature with Skulk can't be blocked by creatures with greater power. So, we can make our own creature Skulk and goad it so that it can basically attack almost unblocked. Or we can do it, oh no, it is target creature and opponent controls. Never mind, I don't read. So, you're basically goading an opponent's creature, but that creature is probably getting through unblocked, potentially. And whenever a creature with Skulk deals combat damage to one of your opponents, you put a 1/1 counter on the Master and draw a card. So there's where the synergy is. I make them have to attack with a Skulk creature, he gets bigger, draws us cards, we're forcing damage, keeps the games moving. And finally, the Master formed anew. I say finally as in the final version of the Master, because there's 4 of them. The Master formed anew is blue and a black for a legendary Time Lord Rogue, 0/1 with Body Thief. When you cast this spell, you may exile a creature you control and put a takeover counter on it. You may have the Master formed anew enter the battlefield as a copy of a creature card in exile with a takeover counter on it. So, he just becomes a copy of any other creature we control. Next, we have a Weeping Angel, my least favorite creatures in... Well, I say least favorite. The scariest creatures in Doctor Who to me. They are my favorite villains because they're so terrifying. So Weeping Angel is 1 blue-black for an artifact alien angel, 2/2, with flash, first strike, and vigilance. Whenever an opponent casts a creature spell, Weeping Angel isn't a creature until end of turn. And if Weeping Angel would deal combat damage to a creature, you prevent that damage, and that creature's owner shuffles it into their library. The flavor of this card, it's a flash blocker with first strike that comes in and sends their creature back in time, just like Weeping Angels do. I love the design space of the Weeping Angel card. Next, we have Dalek Squadron, 2 and a black for artifact creature Dalek with Menace and Myriad. Also, it's a 3/3 artifact creature Dalek. Again, Myriad, whenever this creature attacks for each opponent other than the defending player, you create a token that's a copy of this creature that's tapped and attacking that player or a planeswalker they control, and you exile the tokens at the end of combat. Now, again, if we have the Master multiplied, we don't get rid of those tokens. So this can, again, get out of hand very quickly. Then we have the Cyberman Patrol, 2 mana artifact creature Cyberman 2/2 with artifact creatures you control have Afflict 3. Afflict 3 is whenever a creature with Afflict 3 becomes blocked, defending player loses 3 life. So all of those Daleks have Afflict 3. And we make more of them. Did you block the Dalek? Cool, you're losing 3 life. And it has Menace. So they have to commit 2 blockers. It becomes blocked. You lose 3 life. It's pretty great. Great little combo between the Cybermen and the Daleks. Next, we have Amulet of Vigor. There's a lot of tapped lands in this deck. So Amulet of Vigor costs 1. It's an artifact. It says whenever a permanent enters the battlefield tapped and under your control, untap it. This is basically there so all of our dual lands can be untapped. Then we have Mox Tantalite. It's an artifact with suspend 3 for 0. So you can pay 0 rather than cast this card from your hand, which you can't cast it because it has no casting cost. You could pay 0. You exile it with 3 time counters. At the beginning of your upkeep, you remove a time counter. When the last one's removed, you cast it without paying its mana cost. It taps for 1 mana of any color. Suspend 3, we put 3 time counters on it. We're exiling the card. We have the 10th Doctor who can remove those time counters. If we have any kind of cascade effects, we could cascade into this for free. Great little mana rock. Then we have a Soul Ring. 1 mana, artifact, tap, add 2 colorless. You know it, you love it. Soul Ring. Also, this is the Eye of Harmony. It's one of my favorite scenes from Doctor Who. We have Arcane Signet next. This is the foil bonus sheet from Lost Caverns of Ixalan. 2 mana artifact, taps to add a mana of any color in your commander's color identity. We're in 5 color, so this is add any color you need. Then we have a Commander Sphere. This is the Commander Legends version. 3 mana artifact, tap, add 1 mana of any color in your commander's color identity, which is any of the 5. And you can sacrifice Commander Sphere to draw a card. Next, we have Maskwood Nexus. 4 mana artifact. Creatures you control are every creature type. The same is true for creature spells you control and creature cards you own that aren't on the battlefield. You can pay 3 and tap, create a 2/2 blue shapeshifter creature token with Changeling. This is in here because it makes all of our cards doctors. It makes all of them humans. It makes all of them Daleks. It makes all of them angels, right? This will become important in just a second. Because Gallifrey stands 4 white blue legendary enchantment. When Gallifrey Stands enters the battlefield, return all Doctor cards from your graveyard to your hand. So all those ones we've been milling off the 14th Doctor, we get to hand. Then at the beginning of your upkeep, you may put a Doctor creature card from your hand onto the battlefield. Then if you control 13 or more Doctors, you win the game on the spot. Maskwood Nexus says everything you control is a Doctor. 9th Doctor that gives us additional upkeeps, we get 2 free Doctors. All we need is 13 Doctors, and we win the game. So, this deck was built entirely around this card's existence. I built 5-color Oops All Doctors because one day the dream is you resolve Gallifrey Stands and you win because you got all 13 Doctors. Next we have As Foretold. This is the extended frame Surge Foil, 2 and a blue enchantment. At the beginning of your upkeep, put a time counter on As Foretold. Remember, time travel. We can manipulate the number of time counters. Once each turn, you may pay 0 rather than pay the mana cost for a spell you cast with mana value X or less, where X is the number of time counters on As Foretold. So if we get the counters up high enough, we just get a free spell every turn. It's pretty great ramp. Pretty great advantage. All right, let me grab a drink here, and we will move into talking about the sagas in this deck. All right. So, up first, we have an Unearthly Child, 1 blue enchantment saga. Remember, as sagas enter and after your draw step, you add a lore counter. So it's not an upkeep, it is after you draw. So 9th Doctor doesn't trigger on sagas. But you do sacrifice it after it gets its final chapter counter. Here is all 3 chapters, it does the same thing. You reveal cards from the top of your library until you reveal a Doctor card, a card with Doctor's Companion, or a vehicle. You put that card into your hand, the rest on the bottom of your library in a random order. This is why Ian Chesterton is in the deck, because we could replicate this. We pay 3 mana, we get this. We pay 3 more mana, we get a copy of it. We pay another 3 mana, we get a copy of it, and you see how it can ramp out of control. We just get to put lots of stuff in our hand. Next, we have the only board wipe in the deck, the Knight of the Doctor, 4 white, enchantment saga, with Chapter 1, destroy all creatures. Chapter 2, return target legendary creature card from your graveyard to the battlefield. Put your choice of a first strike, vigilance, or lifelink counter on it. So, again, the read ahead ability on Barbara is useful because we could, if we have the most board presence, we could read ahead and skip the destroy all creatures part and just get return from the graveyard with one of those ability counters. Whoops. Next we have Fugitive of the Jadoon, 4 and a green, enchantment saga. Chapter 1, you create a 1/1 white human creature token with Ward 2 and a 4/4 white alien rhino creature token. Chapter 2, investigate. Chapter 3, you may exile a human you control and an artifact you control. If you do, search your library for a Doctor card, put it onto the battlefield, then shuffle. So, that human we made and the clue we made, we can get rid of both of them and get any Doctor out of our deck straight into play. This is also very good with the replicate that Ian does. Or if we just need, maybe we have plenty of artifacts, maybe we have plenty of humans in play, we could read ahead and go straight to Chapter 3 and just get a Doctor into play. There's the human, the 1/1 white human with Ward. The back side of it is a 3/3 beast. I don't think we have anything that makes these in this deck, but cool art nonetheless. Then there's the 4/4 white alien rhino. Mind you, that saga doesn't have us get rid of the alien rhino, so we do get to keep this 4/4 alien rhino in play. And then the other side is our treasure token, which is the key to the TARDIS. Treasure tokens, of course, artifact treasure. You tap, sacrifice, add a mana of any color. Next up, we have the 11th Hour. 3 in a blue, Enchantment Saga. Search your library for a Doctor card. Reveal it, put it into your hand, then shuffle. Chapter 2, create a food token and a 1/1 white human creature token with Doctor spells you cast, cost 1 less to cast. And Chapter 3, create a token that's a copy of target creature, except it's a legendary alien named Prisoner Zero. So we get to copy any creature on Chapter 3. That could be opponent's creature too. And because it's named Prisoner Zero, it won't trigger the legendary rule. There's the human. It's little baby Amy. Little baby Amelia Pond. Reduces our Doctor spells by 1. And then, of course, we have additional food token. So that is the food and the human that we make off of that card. At least the flavorful versions of them. Next, we have the Girl in the Fireplace, 2 in a white, Enchantment Saga. With Chapter 1, create a 1/1 white human noble creature token with Vanishing 3 and prevent all damage that would be dealt to this creature. So it's an indestructible blocker. Well, not indestructible. It just doesn't die to combat damage. Vanishing 3 is at the start of your upkeep. You remove a time counter from it. It's kind of like Suspend. But again, we can time travel, so we could always add more counters for that vanishing. Chapter 2, you create a 2/2 white horse creature token with Doctors you control have horsemanship. I love this so much. They can't be blocked except by creatures with horsemanship. You know what has horsemanship? A couple of knights from long, long ago in Magic's history. I love this so much. You put the Doctor on a horse. Now he can only be blocked by other things that are on horses. In Chapter 3, whenever a creature you control deals combat damage to a player this turn, time travel. So, the flavor there, you make the 1/1, Vanishing 3 prevents damage dealt. You get the horse that gives your Doctor's horsemanship. Chapter 3, when this would have 1 token left, the 1/1 human noble, would only have 1 token left on it. We time travel, we get to add 3 more tokens, so it'll stick around. There's our human noble token. Token creature, human noble, 1/1, Vanishing 3, prevent all damage that would be dealt to this creature. On the backside, it's a Cyberman. Next we have a horse. This is the Doctors we control have horsemanship. Then on the back side of that, we have another clue. Next up, we have the Day of the Doctor, 3 red white for a 4-chapter enchantment saga. Chapters 1 through 3 are exile cards from the top of your library until you exile a legendary card. You may play that card for as long as the Day of the Doctor remains on the battlefield. Put the rest of those exiled cards on the bottom of your library in a random order. So this is adding time counters to the War Doctor. So we exile until we hit a legendary 3 times. All of those are adding time counters if we have the War Doctor out. And Chapter 4, choose up to 3 Doctors. You may exile all other creatures. If you do, the Day of the Doctor deals 13 damage to you. So, we could, in theory, if we have the War Doctor and 2 other Doctors, even if we just have the War Doctor, right? We just choose him, exile everything else. Now we have a War Doctor with a bunch of counters on him. oh, we took 13 damage, but we're probably killing an opponent in one swing. Next, we have The Caves of Androzani. 3 and a white, Enchantment Saga. Chapter 1, you put 2 stun counters on each of up to 2 target tapped creatures. Chapter 2, for each non-saga permanent, choose a counter on it. You may put an additional counter of that kind on that permanent, so we could basically proliferate stun counters, but we could also add time counters to vanishing creatures. Anything we want to add extra counters. This can be a political card where basically you're proliferating players, right? And then Chapter 4, search your library for a doctor card, reveal it, put it into your hand, then shuffle. Again, very good with the read ahead stuff. If we just need to tutor up a doctor, we could pay 4 mana, read ahead if we have Barbara out, and just go get a doctor. Next, we have Profane Tutor. Sorcery, suspend 2 for 1 and a black. So, you suspend this card for 1 and a black. When it resolves, you once the final suspend counter is removed, you cast the spell for free. You search your library for a card. Put that card in your hand, then shuffle. So it's Demonic Tutor without being a game changer that we can suspend, which matters in this deck. So it's basically, it's Demonic Tutor. It's go get whatever answer you need. Then we have the 5 Doctors. One of the, I believe, only 2 sorceries, right? Because we have Profane Tutor and we have the 5 Doctors. So there's like no instance in this deck. It's only sorceries. And we do have the doctor that, the fugitive doctor that gives our sorceries flashback. The flashback was 2 red-green, so the casting cost of the 5 doctors is 5 and a green. We could flash this back for 2 cheaper. It is a sorcery, has kicker 5. You may pay an additional 5 mana as you cast a spell. So for a total of 11 mana, you get to search your library and or graveyard for up to 5 doctor cards. Reveal them, put them into your hand. If you search your library this way, shuffle it. So we get to search library and graveyard, right? So all the ones we've been milling with the 14th doctor, we can pull them out of the graveyard. If this spell was kicked, we put those straight onto the battlefield instead of our hand. So this is kind of tooth and nail for doctors. Tooth and Nail's an old Magic card that had you, you could cast both sides, right? Tooth is you go get 2 creatures. Nail was you put 2 creatures from your hand on the battlefield. You could cast both sides of it and do both things. So you could just go get 2 creatures and put them straight into play. This, basically a Doctor Who Tooth and Nail, except it's 11 mana. But, flashback. We could flash it back for cheaper. Next, we have the only adventure spell in this deck, but it is 2 different sorceries, so either could be flashed back. We have Twice Upon a Time, 4 blue for a sorcery that says, cast this spell only if you have 2 or more doctors. You take an extra turn after this one, then you exile Twice Upon a Time. Also, we have Unlikely Meeting. 2 and a blue, sorcery adventure. Search your library for a doctor, reveal it, put it in your hand, then shuffle. So you spend 3 mana, you go tutor up a doctor, then you spend 6 mana, you can take an extra turn if you have 2 doctors. So there's a couple extra turn things in here. Just because this deck is pretty slow, it's listed bracket 4, but that's only because of a couple of the combo things that we've seen. Alright, moving on into our land base. We do have quite a few lands in this deck, because there's a lot. It's big mana costs, you know? Alright, we have Terramorphic Expanse. You know it, you love it, you sacrifice it, you get to search for a basic land, put it on the battlefield, tap, then shuffle. Evolving Wilds, exactly the same as Terramorphic Expanse, just a different name. We have Reliquary Tower. Reliquary Tower is a land, says you have no maximum hand size, taps for colorless. We have Thespian Stage, this is the Doctor Who version of it. It's a land, taps for colorless, or you can pay 2 and tap Thespian Stage, becomes a copy of target land, except it has this ability. So we can just have it copy something else later if we need. Next we have Cavern of Souls. This is the Lost Caverns of Ixalan version. Land, as Cavern of Souls enters the battlefield, choose a creature type, taps for colorless, or tap add 1 mana of any color, spend this mana only to cast a creature spell of the chosen type, and that spell can't be countered. Thespian Stage can become an additional Cavern of Souls. You always choose Time Lord. Time Lord is a singular creature type. So then all of our Time Lords, whether the Master or River or the Doctor, all of them become non-counterable. Next we have Inn of the Prancing Pony, which is Pillar of the Perrons. It's a land, tap, add 1 mana of any color, spend this mana only to cast a multicolored spell. You've seen how many multiple color things there are in this deck. This is basically an additional command tower. Hey, speaking of, here's Command Tower. It's the version of the TARDIS that was 10 and 11's TARDIS and 9's. Taps for a mana of any color in your commander's color identity. Next, we have Path of Ancestry. Path of Ancestry enters the battlefield tapped. Add a mana of any color in your commander's color identity. When that mana is spent to cast a creature spell that shares a creature type with your commander, scry 1. So because we have dual commanders, if we cast a Time Lord, a Doctor, or a human, or what is she, an advisor? I believe Clara is a human advisor. Yes. So if we cast any card with one of those 4 types, or if we had Maskwood Nexus in play for that matter, we get free scries. Next we have a cycle of what's known as the slow fetches. This is Floodplain land, enters the battlefield tapped. You tap and sacrifice Floodplain. Search your library for a plains or island, doesn't have to be basic. Put it onto the battlefield, doesn't have to be tapped, then shuffle. We are going to have a whole cycle of 5 of these. Grassland, exactly the same as Floodplain, except this is forest or plains. We have Bad River, same as the others, except this tutors up an island or swamp. Rocky Tar Pit, same as the others, except this gets a swamp or a mountain. And Mountain Valley, same, but this one is mountain or forest. Now into the things that we'd be tutoring with it. So here we have Elegant Parlor, land, mountain, plains. We do have, this is the borderless version of the Surveil lands. We do have all 10 of the Surveil lands in here. So I'm going to read this ability text once and just know that the next 9 cards also have the same stuff, but they'll tap for different colors, right? So Elegant Parlor, land, mountain, plains, enters the battlefield tapped, and when it enters, you surveil 1. Because it is a mountain and plains, it can tap for red or white. Next we have Raucous Theater, same as the last one, except this is a swamp mountain, so it does the surveilling and can tap for black or red. Thundering Falls, surveil, taps for blue or red. Shadowy Backstreet, surveils, it's a plain swamp, so it taps for white or black. Commercial District, this is the red-green surveil. Underground Mortuary, this is the black-green surveil. Lush Portico, green-white surveil. Meticulous Archive. This is the blue-white surveil. Hedge Maze. This is the green-blue surveil. And Undercity Sewers. This is the blue-black surveil land. I put all of these in here because this was one of my favorite things that came out of Murders at Karlov Manor. Not the lands themselves, but specifically the full arts, because they go together to make an equation. So, I'll show you here, chat. Let me find two that go together. I'm trying to find the other half of Undercity Sewers there. Oh, well, here we go. This should... what is the other half of that one? Where's the first half of the thing? There's so many of these. Okay, here we go. We'll use this as an example. So you see how we have this, like... for the audio listeners, this is scintillating entertainment. But we have this like weird angled door in this cross piece, and then we have this like stone arch in this piece. When you put them together, it makes a letter A. So it does this throughout these cards, right? So there's the N, right? There's the first part of an R on one of the other cards. So it gives you like RNA and then a math equation that when you solve it, it's the set code for Ravnica Allegiance, and it led you to a bonus card. And I was one of the people that was like paying super close attention to the meta ARG that was happening in Murders at Karlov Manor when it was coming out. And it was super cool. It showed you this card that had a little Jace puppet on it. So they were spoiling that, hey, Jace is coming back. So I picked all the full versions of those because it was a nice little, mystery thing. And Doctor Who very often involves mysteries. And these are great lands that are easily fetchable off of all of our slow fetches. Next, we move into our basics. All of these are going to be the Doctor Who versions in Surge Foil. So we have a Plains. We have another Plains. Island. Another island. Swamp. Another swamp. Mountain. Another mountain. Forest. A second forest. And then, because we've got the Murders at Karlov Manor, I also put one of each of the impossible lands in here. Because our backup commander, or our Doctor's Companion, is the Impossible Girl. So, impossible lands, Impossible Girl. These were from Murders at Karlov Manor. So we have the Plains. I also just really dig the art on these. There's the island, the swamp, the mountain. I really dig the cool isometric art on these. It's very, very cool artwork. And the forest. And then there's 10 little sideboard cards. These were some of the original basics that I had in the deck until I tracked down all of the Surge foils for the Doctor Who lands. So we have a Plains. These are the Spacix, the Galaxy basic lands from Unfinity. So you're going to see the Galaxy one, and then all of the Spacix Galaxy versions, and then we'll see the planetary versions from Unfinity as well. So there's the Plains. There's the island, swamp, mountain, and forest. Now remember, none of these are in the deck, of course. They have different sleeves from the in-deck ones. They just felt thematic to be in the sideboard of a Doctor Who deck, and they were my original basics that I had in there. Then we move to the planetary versions, which is the on-planet versions of the Spacix from Infinity. We have the Plains, Island, Swamp, Mountain, and and the Forest. And that's all of the sideboard stuff. All of the bonus cards. All right. Well, let's have a look, because we are in the midst of an ad break. So let's have a look at what we're going to talk about next week. Two of my personal pet decks. We've done a lot of 5-color decks, but let's talk about some monocolor decks next week. So we're going to talk about two of my favorite monocolor decks. We have Omnath, Locus of Mana. This is my mono green commander deck. It likes doing what mono green does. And we will talk about my mono red Oops All Chandras, helmed by Chandra Fire of Kaladesh, which is a name that they don't use in Magic anymore, because turns out it's actually a bad word. So, this card probably never getting reprinted because it has the bad word on it. But Chandra is the commander of my Chandra Tribal deck, or Chandra Kindred, I should say. So, my Oops All Chandras deck. We'll talk about those two next week on Such a Brew About Nothing. Same time as usual. So, let's flip the camera around here, friends. All right. Let me move that out of the way. So, that's the decks we've been talking about today. I want to thank you all so very much for tuning in. It's been a blast talking about Magic with y'all. Hopefully you've enjoyed, maybe been inspired to brew some decks of your own. Once again, as a reminder, if you want to see any of the deck lists, you can check out the pinned comment in chat, or we will have the deck lists posted in the description on the VODs for this video, both on Twitch and on YouTube. If you did miss any part of tonight's stream, you can catch it here on Twitch for a limited period of time, or over on our YouTube channel at youtube.com/@TriuneSystem. The VODs usually go live the very next day from stream. So if you want to check them out and see the deck list, you can find them over on our YouTube. Friends, we are going to find a friendo to raid into, because we do like to share the love and pay it forward. Let's see if, because I know Team Evil, JR, was on earlier. I don't know if he still is. It does not look like he is. So, oh, you know what? One of our other friends, Berserk, Bess. We're gonna raid into Bessa. I haven't seen her in a minute. So, you're gonna find some raid messages in the chat there. There we go. We have the raid. And if you are a subscriber, the sub raid, you can copy your flavor of raid message and get ready to paste it into Bess's chat, as we are going to go raid over and share the love with her. Friends, until the next time, I've had so much fun talking Magic with y'all. Hopefully you've enjoyed as well. Until Tuesday, don't forget, this Tuesday we are going to be returning with Stray Gods, doing an all-blue run. Always streaming at 8 p.m. MST, Mountain Standard Time. Thursday we'll be jumping back into Spider-Man. Saturday we'll be playing more Indiana Jones and the Great Circle. And then we'll be back Sunday to talk about Omnath and Chandra. But until that time, friends, I've been trying. You've been amazing. Take care of yourselves and each other, and we will catch you in the next one. All right, everybody, get ready to raid. Let's go on and say hi to Bess. Y'all be good, have fun, and I will catch you again very soon. All right? There we go. Everybody, have a good night.